Good, good. How you guys doing? I've just been playing some Muscovy lately, and yeah, Muscovy's interesting. Oh boy, Muscovy. Muscovy was an interesting one. I accidentally have a magnifying glass in the image. I don't care though. So I would say Muscovy is the most broken nation I've played, bar none. Like nothing comes close to how broken Muscovy is. But I pointed a lot of things out, and the Johan's gonna be dropping the hammer on them. Yeah, fun, interesting is a way to say it. Play U4 again? Why? Yeah, OP for humans. Yes. It needs of several nerfs too. So, well, that's what's gonna be nerfed. So, if I want to go in a nutshell, like the reason they're so broken is you can have perfect control over the entirety of Russia in the 1500s. So like I literally would like I had probably 95 or higher control in every single location in Russia in the 1500s. So obviously that needs some nerfing. They have I don't know why, but Paradox just like gives them so many proximity impacts. Modifiers. So they have literally, you can get to the point where control is basically not a factor for you. It's like you have negative 100% proximity impact, so like there is no impact from one location to the next. It's all like 100 control, your entire nation. It's kind of freaking hilarious. Like, and like to the point where you don't even need to build roads. You know, like you don't need to build roads even, because like it's not possible for there to be any distance between one location to the next, anyways. So there's not really a need to build a road, right? Which is pretty hilarious. So yeah. But a part of it, well, the issue is that I understand the game pretty well. And I understand how to stack modifiers and all that sort of stuff, right? So it's really easy for someone like me to look at it and be like, how am I going to min max all these things and make my nation like really giga strong? But yeah, it's pretty insane. It's getting nerfed though. I put screenshots that terrified people when I'm showing like all of Russia, and it's like everything's in max control. It's like everything is perfectly under my control in pretty much the entirety of Russia, which is funny. Yeah. So that was pretty interesting. I did this in the 1500s too. I mean, they just get so many. Pretty easy. I mean, that's not that easy, honestly. Like a lot of it is just kind of like you make small gains until you can like really build up an army, and then you can just go crazy. But a lot of it's like there's certain issues with this patch it's really not hard to deal with the Golden Horde because they're the Golden Horde is on like the Golden Horde is declining without your intervention needed. You know, like you don't really need to do anything. In fact, my game had a little bit of an issue, and this has to do a lot with this patch and the changes they make. There's always a problem with U5 and what's going on is when they make changes, it always impacts other things that they don't expect. And this is just kind of an example of that. But they're making state changes that make it so, like the AI is really, really bad with Parliament right now, and can't really like deal with that in a really good way, right? Muscovy. Why did you get Muscovy nerfed? So what Muscovy did is they made it so that you don't need roads and you can have perfect control everywhere in the 1500s. Like literally. Literally, you could have 100 control from Paris to Muscovy. Nope, not even naval. So yeah, so basically, I mean, I'd have to go to the game to give you like, I mean, they're just so broken. I don't know what they're thinking. It's weird how broken they are. It is actually weird how broken they are. It is impressive. They have the highest diplomatization costs in the game too. Like they have the best cabinet actions I've ever seen. One of their cabinet action gives like 25% diplo annexation cost and like 5 diplo rep. No, that's the one thing that really sucks. The frontiers kind of suck. Sort of. No, they're not more expensive to build, and no, they don't have it. They aren't worse during winter. So the way frontiers work, and the reason it's hard, or it's hard for me to use, so I aggressively conquered Russia, right? Like really, really aggro. Yeah, well, Muscovy is insanely strong. Muscovy is just in the current version of the game, they're probably the strongest nation that I played. Maybe not the strongest nation that I played. I would say this: they wouldn't be the strongest nation in the 1550s, but they'd be the strongest nations um later because of that ability, right? No, they're not terrible. They're giga OP, giga OP, and like probably one of the most overpowered. Definitely the most overpowered nation I've seen. How? Modifier stacking, in one word or one phrase. They have the ability to get 100 control in every single location in the game because they can hit negative 100% proximity impact, meaning that there is 0.01 impact from one location to the next, like that. So you could literally, and I mean this literally, like you could have, yeah, the floor is 0.01. So yeah, so basically, like imagine that you go from like one location to the next, and then to the next, right? And it's like every time it's like another 0.01. Like this is never gonna do anything. Essentially, we have teleportation as far as freaking impact. It's pretty funny. They're gonna nerf it though. Unfortunately, you guys will never get to play the version of it. Like I posted screenshots and Johan was like not happy about it. Just in the sense that, he's like, oh, that's not good. It apparently has made it on it has made it on his to-do list. I don't even really know what Orthodox does. It's pretty insignificant. I don't really understand what Orthodox does. It's not. I guess I would say that. Like, I don't really even know. Like, I can't understand when I played Byzantium or whatever. It doesn't really seem like they do anything that I care about or that is good. But that's just like me not understanding partially. Could be, right? Like, I wouldn't say like for sure I can tell you that it's bad or it, but it's either bad or I don't understand. One of the two. I don't understand the value. Pretty responsive. I don't know if like pretty responsive that if they see things that I've been asked for my saves multiple times from my AARs. Yeah, and they just I mean they just have some of the most insane stuff. I mean I mean the thing about Russia is that they just have so much ability to push proximity impact. So, but the thing is that I fear that okay, I'll be honest with you guys. Whatever a lot of times when I point out these things to Paradox, they get nerfed into the ground. And so I'm hoping that's not the case because I feel like Muscovy is actually pretty weak in the early game. And they come into their power because of these modifiers and that sort of thing. Like Muscovy is not as strong as like well, they're not as strong early on, and that's probably what like a lot of EU5 is about that, right? It's gonna be about the early game and that sort of thing. So you're not really hitting your like really powerful point until like the mid 1500s. I don't know the answer to that, as I only have formed Russia with one country, but I think it's mostly Muscovy. Muscovy has a cabinet action. This is always dangerous when they do this. So they have a cabinet action, right? That does this. It gives you plus tax efficiency, which is one of the most powerful modifiers. And it also gives negative proximity. The problem with this, the problem with putting this in a cabinet action like this, is that there's something called cabinet efficiency. And so by the time you hit the 1500s, you have plus 100% cabinet efficiency. And you get to the point where you're getting 30% tax and negative 15% proximity impact. This is kind of the issue. I'm not gonna lie, they neutralized themselves. I didn't even have a chance. But that's more of to do with issues with the patch and that sort of thing. But anyways, funny enough, they also have a cabinet action that gives negative 25% diplo annex cost. In fact, they have the most cabinet actions I've seen out of any nation, which is weird. No, it does not take more. It doesn't take long. I guess let me answer this. I did not notice that, James. It's possible, but it's not something that I noticed if it did happen. Yes, there's like tons of these are Muscovy / Russia only cabinet actions. Like this one, the negative proximity and plus tax efficiency one. And they also obviously have later on they have the Siberian frontier cabinet action. And then they have like two other cabinet actions that are so they have the most cabinet actions I've seen of any nation in the game. I don't have the answer to that. I only played Muscovy. Yes, two of the best bonuses in one action is nuts, right? This is gonna get nerfed. 100%. You will not get to see this modifier in the way that I got to play with it. It's unreasonable. I'll tell you what's funny. So I played till the 1700s where you unlock railroads, right? Which are level like basically the end game roads. And with Russia, you feel like you have railroads at level 2 roads, meaning that your roads can stretch an indefinite distance and be crazy valuable. It's kind of funny. You basically have railroads like early game. I've never seen a nation like this. It's pretty funny. Um, uh, it's fun. It's pretty fun to have like super high control over your entire nation, right? So on as far as vassals fiefdoms go, I kind of take the lazy approach where I'm just like, I don't want to deal with subjects, and so I don't really use them. You know? So like a lot of times I just like can't be bothered to use subjects, and then I kind of get behind is and like they have the best ability to diplomatics I've ever seen, and I don't even use subjects because I'm lazy. Yeah, I think they just went a little too hard because it makes sense that they want to give some control over I mean, it's a pretty poor region to start, but it's not really that poor when you get 100%. The problem with them too is that they like have a really innate ability to like accept every culture for free. Like I've never had I like imagine I can take all Russia and get all value from it, and I never have to culture convert. And so it's like insane value for conquest because not only do you like when you conquer, it's like all you gotta do is integrate, and it's gonna be a full core, and you're gonna have 100 control. It just imagine that like me playing it's like I'm playing like a version of EU4 with no overextension, and it feels like very EU4 you playing this because it's like you just conquer endlessly and you get like there's nothing really to stop you, and you get super good value out of everything you take, right? Like it's broken. That's why I'm saying it's the most broken nation that I played because it's just crazy. Like it, to have infinite value, right? I mean, I got coalition war like 7 times in my campaign, which was really annoying. But other than that, that's kind of the only thing that slowed me down. Freaking coalition after coalition after coalition. That was a little bit draining. I finally outgrew it, but it was like really, it took a while to get there. But I guess I could go into the details of kind of like the way that it plays out. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I went. It was really weird because I started out playing slow, and then it was like you hit kind of like a point where you're just all of a sudden you're strong enough to do whatever you want, and yeah, it's kind of nuts, right? And then but it's I get lazy where it's like I think I spent like so I formed Russia on like around like 1520 or 1530, and like I have half of Russia is not integrated. And so, like, in theory, I should use subjects, right? But I'm just being lazy at that point. I'm like, I don't really care. And I'm just like slowly integrating Russia, right? Like, I'm not going to use any subjects because I don't really, I can't be asked to micro that and improve relations with all these different subjects and then annex them. I just like don't. A lot of times I'll like lately I'll get into that mindset. It's like, man, like I know using subjects is the right way, but I just can't convince myself to do it. I like just hitting a cabinet action that says integrate and letting it go. You know. It feels nice to not have to use even if it's like I'll just sit on like half my nation unintegrated and. But yeah. Trying to think like what's interesting to tell you about this campaign. I know, that's the problem with subjects to me is that I just don't. Why did you nerf my favorite nation? Because your favorite nation is the most broken nation in the video game. You can't have you can't have teleportation from one location to the next. It's not reasonable. It's literally not reasonable. It's hilarious though. I think I could have, but I didn't really like understand what to do with the church. I don't really understand Orthodox. Please don't play Georgia. Why? Here's the thing about EU5, and this is a real thing. It has a steep learning curve. Like for example, there's some newer creators trying to play Muscovy, and they will fail. So they will never get to know, and like literally, they will be like, this nation needs buffed, and then I'll play it as someone who's played hundreds and hundreds of hours, and I'll realize how overpowered it is. So it's kind of like a weird balance, right? Because it's like I wouldn't for Muscovy, I'd be like, you should not play Muscovy unless you really understand the video game. And like, but the thing is that once you if you do understand things, and that's kind of the an interesting thing about EU5 is like once you get to the point where you do understand things, you're like it's kind of tough because some of these modifiers, like if for a newer player, I'm like, these are gonna feel really good. But you know, it's hard to know what they should do, right? Like imagine like what do you want? Like kind of what should be the right balance, right? I played 700 hours nearly. So I played a lot. I'm not and to be fair, I'm learning so much every time I play. Like I'm not even that great at the game, but what I'm saying is I do have a good understanding of what's going on. Enough to the point. But I can tell you that I literally there's been like newer waves of create like newer creators that have been, jumping in to some of these nations that I played. Like when I played Portugal, there's other creators also playing it that are really struggling. Or when I'm playing Muscovy, other creators that go into it and they really struggle. Oh, it's all good, Bark. I wasn't really playing EU4, so it's like I kind of felt bad even being in that tournament. Like I could tell you that they probably should nerf Omen, for example, right? If they let me if they let me release content, I wouldn't waste my time honestly doing that. I'm more interested in making single player content. Yes, I believe so. It's a hard balance though, is just what I'm saying is kind of like the game isn't like the game's very complex. And I like, like maybe you played EU4 1,000 hours and it's like you're still learning a lot. Even at 1,000 hours, you're like, oh, you kind of like, but you start to hit a point where it's like easier for you to learn stuff because you start to build a base of things you understand, and that base just grows and grows. So at first you're like kind of confused, right? But and I make notes of all these things. Then I'm probably in charge for. I probably get things nerfed more than like any other creator for sure. Well, maybe me or generalist, but yeah. So I get things nerfed a lot, but sometimes I worry about that because like they shouldn't nerf things based upon someone who understands the game well. You know, I mean, the tools are there for Russia to just be insanely strong, right? If you like understand it all, like what you're doing, then it's a problem. But for a newer player, they wouldn't like. I wouldn't be a problem. In fact, a newer player would probably jump into Muscovy and quit because they suffer so much and they can't get the ball rolling. So it's hard to say like what you know. Do they not want to make certain nations that hard? Because like maybe they don't. Maybe they want to make nations really, really strong. Because like I will say I had a lot of fun because of how broken Muscovy is, right? Like that's fact. Like I'm like this was a really fun campaign because they were so busted. And is that something that they should take away from the game? Like I guess that's up to them or maybe the community to think about. right? Like I really did, you know, it's like akin to like playing maybe like Leviathan in some sense, right? Like I didn't, and I'm one person who really enjoyed Leviathan because like things were kind of fun because they were so broken, you know, like and it's fun to play with those things for a while. So it's like some part of me is like maybe they should leave that in for like a week or two, or you know, I mean even by a week or two, people aren't going to be able to. Is Granada the hardest? I don't know. I haven't played Granada, but that's not the general consensus, right? The idea that the more difficult the game is in the terms of mechanics is like I don't. The problem with that is that it's gonna push new players away, right? If the game's like super difficult, that can also be a concern for them, I'm sure. Because like what from what I've seen for the other creators, they really struggle and they call for nerfs and stuff or buffs, and it's like it's funny from my perspective too, where I see like these new creators really struggling with certain things, and they like are like this is tough, like these guys need to be buffed, you know, and I'm like those guys don't need to be buffed at all, you know. I like look at the same thing and I'm like no, absolutely not. But it's just a different perspective of someone who's got 40 hours versus someone who's got 700, right? Like they're not wrong for saying that they're well, they just don't have the experience to understand yet. So yeah, they'll be like this feels really bad because they expect Portugal to be like a beginner friendly nation like it might be, but it's not. You know, there's actually some difficulty in that sort of thing. Like you know, it's not very cheap for you to just colonize, and if you don't build up your nation in a smart way. But I don't know how they want to balance all that. How fast can you unify Italy as Naples? I guess that kind of depends, Vinny. Like, are you saying do that and not get coalition to death? Like, you know, like I don't know. I don't really know. Probably. I haven't played Italy since like a month. Like I played Italy like before the like in the last patch. This patch might be a lot harder. Definitely coalition's gonna be a problem. Again I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Probably like I mean if I was just a guess, I'm sure you could probably form it around 1500. But yeah, that would just be like an initial guess, something like that. Right. But I'm just like, you know, I don't know. I learned the game differently too. I don't think so. No, not without being no. I would say no. You cannot like maybe I just don't. I think you die to coalitions. I think that'd be like too aggro, and you'd be coalitioned by all of Europe, and like you really can't. Like you'll get bullied by the coalitions, man. And coalitions are brutal because they're gonna come after you on cooldown, and you can't separate piece them. Like you really like coalitions are rough to deal with in that sense. Like you can attack them and separate piece them, but I think they're going to change that too. Well, I've recommended that they do. If you attack into a coalition, it's fine, but if they attack you, you're getting like no value, and it's just like they'll you know they're like less likely to leave, and even if you win, it's like you don't really like what are you going to do? Take more land, and then the coalition's just a bigger problem. Like it coalitions actually like are I think the way that when coalitions build against you is good, but they need to change the way that you can attack into coalitions. So, because it really is like, I played Russia and I got coalition ward like 5 or 6 times, and it's like really slows me down a lot, right? Because I have to devote a lot of manpower and resources just defending my nation, and I'm not getting any value out of those coalitions because I can't separate peace, and I'm like struggling to even survive. I think a lot of times, like I'll be winning, but I'll like have to like give them money to for them to leave. Um, I don't think you should. Like honestly, Vinny, I don't think you should be able to. It's just too powerful. Like I get it. Like coming from EU4, I thought that would be a good idea to be able to set up peace coalitions, but it's just kind of OP. I mean, maybe it's okay though. I don't know. It's just hard to know. Like that's a complicated one. Can someone like the Timurids solo Europe? I don't know. Timurids are kind of hard now lately when I played them. Because they've been like Paradox listens. Unfortunately, Paradox watches me, and if they make things like, how's the Timurids hard? Because every time you take one of those, Timurids is really powerful, but they made it so it's like you get so much antagonism now whenever you take the land. So before remember when I said they didn't? I was like, how are they going to do this? Well, they figured it out. Okay. I like try to invade China and then get a ton of China, and then I get coalitioned by the entirety of Italy, or not Italy, sorry, India, and China, and the rest of China. Like I can't fight all of India and half of China at the same time. I just can't do it. I don't really know what I can do in these scenarios. Like you just run out of people. That you don't have it in debt. There's more people. There's so many of them. Eventually, I'll have to figure out. Like I'm struggling actually to like figure out how to play Timurids effectively, because I don't know like what region to go for. It's just weird. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm still I'm playing around with it. So you have extra AE modifier on top of the new increased base amount. Yeah. Yep. I still think they need to adjust the AI, but I'm kind of I guess I don't think people like what I want, because then it's like a problem for them. Like I want campaigns to be like I want to be able to play campaigns into the 1800s, right? But guess what that means for the I guess majority of the community is that they're never gonna hit like an insanely if I can't, like if I'm interested in playing the games till 1821, it means that, or 1837, it means the game's difficult, right? And that's just kind of like, I think some people just want to like dominate, you know, and they want to come in and the more casual audience just wants to come in and dominate. So it's like I think that like I don't know, it's tough to like for example, there's one big issue right now that I don't know how they're gonna resolve, but I would call it like the AI claim issue, right? But I will say that like it's funny how people think things when they watch my content. They're like, oh, if he kept playing, then he would like collapse because the empire would collapse on itself. I'm like, you guys, no. But I would say that there's like a couple of fundamental issues. I guess we'll talk about that. Alex, I don't really know the answer to that question. I guess I would say that like economy is too easy currently, that it doesn't really like those things don't really matter that much. Like if you have, the idea would be like, if you, let's say you make 2,000 a month, right? Do you need to make 3,000 a month? Like, just in the sense of, like, it's not important, right? It kind of is like, yes, you might be able to move your market and be a little bit more optimal, but it's like to those that watch my EU4 content, and it's like I'm generally like not super optimal about that type of stuff. Where if I have enough money to make it buy, I'm happy. So I don't really like mess around with the leading markets too much. I did it once with the New World, like the Aztec people, but that's just one of those things I don't know. But it costs 50 stability to do. And what's interesting too, when I was playing, maybe I should let it. Maybe I should do it. Like, I'm just thinking about this. I actually probably should do this. Russia has a times of trouble disaster, but it only triggers if you have low stability. Because I saw whenever I take the institution, I'd see that it would like pop up, but then like it only has a 2% chance to trigger a month, and then I'd like go above the threshold. But I probably should like let it trigger to see what it does. But I mean, I will say that for me, a lot of the times, I'm kind of an object oriented, or sorry, like what is it? Objective oriented person, I guess. The frontier is like kind of brutal, but I didn't play around with it a lot, to be honest with you, because it's a cabinet action, and I was spending like, I think I had one cabinet action that was giving me this. So one of them was doing this, right? So this is like funny about this though is like this now you can imagine what happens when you have this cabinet option, right? What do you think happens when you have a cabinet action this powerful? Just take a guess. It's kind of obvious, but like you essentially don't have a cabinet member anymore. This is you cannot get rid of this. Your cabinet member is locked in forever. Yes, exactly. So it's like -1 cabinet member, right? Not often. I don't want to say often, but I have seen it. I don't play a ton in the East, but I have played a Timberlands campaign where by the time I got there, it was Ming and not Yuan. But right, so we have a situation where it's mandatory now to use this cabinet member, right? Like and I also on top of it, I have to put my cabinet leader as that position as well, right? So there is some little bit of downside, but obviously it's insanely powerful. It's just kind of like okay, but then it's literally like I'm like then I have like let's say I have 2 to like 6, right? These kind of members are all just like integrating endlessly. And so I don't really like the reality is that I need to integrate. In my campaign, it's like 16, 17, something like that. Like 16, 15, I don't know, something maybe like 1605. And it's like I would need to integrate for another probably 20, 30 years just to integrate the land that I have taken, which is like a lot of Russia, right? So like think about like, like all of this stuff. More than you can see on the screen. I also have like all of like Norway's stuff, or well, not Norway, but like Sweden's. Like I haven't pushed deep into Sweden, but I have like the land that's like up there, whatever you want to call that. I don't know what that side of the land is called. But the point being is that, and because I'm being lazy and not using subjects, it's a huge part of it. In the game, like I really should use subjects because the game is like they're literally the station has the best diplomatization cost I've ever seen, and yet I'm still not using subjects. It's kind of bad, right? But here's the cool thing. Listen to this. You guys are going to be for one. Tell me how you guys think about this. So I get an event that's like, hey, this guy appears in the court, and if you assign him to a cabinet action, it'll give you some extra bonuses, right? me actually reading an event. I know it's crazy, right? But I'm like, okay. So even though he's not the efficient person, like he's terrible integration, but I'm just like, whatever, right? I'll put him in. The game wants me to put him in. Okay. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And then in a few years, this unlocked the count action for the negative 25% diplomatization cost. How do you guys feel about that? Like an insanely powerful modifier is unlocked because you read an event and you did what it wanted you to do. I was like, that kind of felt neat. And it kind of made me think like I need to pay a little bit more attention to what these events are saying. I kind of liked it. I know that that's going to be weird, but just the idea that like you unlock the special reform or the special action by kind of like doing a certain thing. Where like it's just something that you wouldn't like it kind of gives you the idea though like I'm like I need to go back and play other nations and like make sure because I a lot of times I won't read stuff. I'm like I actually like want to go back through and make sure I read these events and make sure I'm getting these modifiers, stuff like that. But I will say these guys have like the most. What I really like about Russia, in contrast to some other, and maybe I'll even open the game and obviously not showing you anything, but like walk through that. They have like they have the most unique cabinet member actions I've ever seen, which is cool because I don't know. I kind of just like the idea that like they have a lot of different things. But I guess the problem I ran into is that um I tried to. So Siberia Frontier is interesting. So you have to use a cabinet action for like 10 years, I think. And then it's like an RNG chance if the colony will make it or not, to my understanding. Where like, but depends on like, so if you have like a really bad cabinet member that's trying to frontier, then you're gonna like not. There's also events that happen that like you need to support it or not, right? You'll have to like, if you don't support it more and more, it's gonna fail and you're gonna waste that time. So it's kind of, but it's kind of like tough in the sense of when like, I don't know how to explain it in a good way. It's I guess the simple answer would be because I didn't use subjects much, I can't really frontier because I am stuck using all my cabinet members integrating instead, which I don't need to do, but it's like I get more value out of integrating than I would going to Siberia. It's just a reality. Like it's more important for me to like core Novgorod land than it is to work on Siberia. Should I use subjects? Yes. Am I lazy? Yes. But I also am like insane. I'm also like giga good at integrating too, because I've stacked certain modifiers, right? In later parts of the game, you can integrate a province, and you have to when you play this game, you have to like we have to talk about provinces are states, right? But basically I can integrate each like quote quote state in about 5 to 7 years. And so technically it's faster than using subjects, but the problem is that I have 27 different places I need to integrate. So it's just like yes, individually each of these is faster, but when you have 27 it's kind of just like yeah, I should use subjects too. I'm just being lazy. I just don't want to deal with the micro of subjects because I don't really feel like I need to. Like I'm already so strong that it's like, yes, I could do that. You know what I mean? There's different. So to explain how that works, Jeff James, is I would explain it like this. Um, so if you want to be like an early colonizer in 1437, you need to go Diplo ideas, right? But if you're kind of like a Russia, then you can kind of unlock this in the next age without doing anything special, right? So it's kind of just like if you want the head start to it, you have to like do that, but you'll eventually unlock the ability to colonize just as anybody. But it's just going to take a lot, it's going to be a significant, wait to get there. Just to kind of explain that question. Yes, it is like that, yeah. But speaking of random things that, like, I mean, and I do wanna make a video about this, but the things that are the biggest issues, and this happens a lot, but what I would say is that, like, the player obviously just becomes a little bit too strong. But one of the biggest issues is that, like, Parliament's a mess right now. You guys know I hate Parliament. I've always hated Parliament, but specifically, the AI really fumbles their nation with Parliament, like, in a really bad way. And the AI doesn't understand how to use Parliament CB. So this gives you an insane advantage, right? The AI is just going to know CB. And that's kind of one of the biggest issues, is that the player is able to take land for 90% cheaper than the AI, right? Which is like, I don't think it's a good idea to give players that type of power. And so it just creates a scenario where it's like you're going to outscale the AI because you can take more land without getting coalitioned, right? It's kind of like logic there. Does that all make sense? You guys understanding? But yeah, would you like to? Let me. Do you guys want me to get into the specifics? Like, I could pull up the screen on, like, I can't show you the game, but I could pull it up and just kind of like write down the different things, the different modifiers that Muscovy gets / Russia. If you're interested, would that be interesting to you guys? Oh, well, I'll tell you honestly, Parliament kills the Golden Horde, and so unfortunately in my game, like, you're supposed to like this man like I played Muscovy more than once, but what happened in my game is that the Tater Yoke was disbanded because nobles took over the Golden Horde, like, literally, because of Parliament. If you guys want me to explain why that is the case, like, you want me to, like, explain, but that's what happened in my game. A lot of times the French and English thing will end too because the nobility will take over. The nobility rebels are just a huge issue in this patch because the Parliament changes. Yeah, just like every like a ton, like the AI and even you will struggle with you will get constant noble uprisings. The reason is because Parliament, they changed the way Parliament works and the way that state satisfaction works. So before, estates used to have a you guys are familiar with the state equilibrium from EU4, I'm sure, right? So, like, let's say that you're given the clergy, um, they have like a 70% equilibrium, which means that they'll trend upwards towards that number, right? And then they'll hit that and they'll stop. Make sense? So before it was, is large spawning wide nations even powerful? Well, that's why I'm saying technocrat is that this particular why this nation's so broken is because they don't have to deal with proximity at all. Like, Russia's so broken that they could literally not build roads and have perfect control in the entirety of the world. Like, that's how broken Russia is. Like, they are, like, they will be getting nerfed. And, like, sorry to tell you guys that I have gotten Russia nerfed already, confirmed. Like, Johan has put it on his to-do list to literally nerf this, but So you won't get to see that version, but in the version that I have, there you have the ability. So to explain proximity, and I could do like proximity kind of works like I should just pull up the actual thing for it, but proximity is kind of like you have a flat amount. It's like I think it's 40, like flat, right? So the idea is that you start with 100, right? And then you are going to take away 40 flat, and then roads give you a flat, like the opposite way, right? So I think it's like a road would be like, so early roads are 15, and then 20, 25, 30, right? So and that applies before the modifiers. But the reason why these guys, and also, so one thing that I guess, let me give you an example. Hold on. I need to pull up something just a second. Let me fix my screen. Well, like, give me just a minute. Or I guess you guys want me to get the specifics, or you guys just want to take my word? I don't care. You guys, I probably don't need to. I was gonna open the game and get the specific numbers, but it probably doesn't matter to you guys a lot. But the point being is that, well, I think I might have a somewhat. Let me see. I think I may have a screenshot that I shared, because I was basically kind of like, you know, right. But I was gonna see if I can share with you, like, let's see. Okay, yeah, I do have. Well, I didn't have a rover. Let me see. Yeah, that's nuts. Okay. Just seeing, like, if I can find. I want to see if I can find. They also have a law that's crazy. They have a law called. I'll write it in chat because I don't know how to say it, but they have a law like this that gives. Like, that's like one of the biggest things, right? Like, one law alone is giving them 20% is crazy. But this is one of the laws that they can implement just for being Russia, or not even Russia. It's Muscovy, maybe anyone in the region, but. So then they have another one that's I mean, you kind of get the point. I could go through and give you the actual reforms, what they do, but yeah, I have a black screen because I'm looking at screenshots that I can't show. But I'm just seeing if I can. Okay, so I'll just write the modifiers for you. Kind of explain to you what's going on. I don't know that answer. I haven't played the other guys yet. Like, so it's like I don't want to give you that information that I don't know. Right? Just give me one sec. So I want to give you this. I want to give you like an accurate detail of what's going on. So this will give you like an idea, like a more. So here's what this looks like. We have centralization, which is obviously a value for negative 10%. We have our cabinet member. And maybe people that would maybe I'll write what they're actually called so you guys could appreciate it. Again, I'm not really like a history in the history of it, but maybe you guys know what this might mean. But this is about negative 15. Supreme Court's a building that you can build as any nation, by the way. So it's not like that's just a thing that everyone gets. But then then these are the like specific things, and maybe you would like, again, people like might know what these words mean more than I would. To me, these are just like oops, can't draw an E. So I don't know exactly what that is, or I'm sure maybe some of you guys do, but so there's this. There's something called. That's why I wanted to get I pull an actual screenshot because I'm like, these, you know, I don't even want to try to pronounce these things. Like, I don't know what this is, right? But it's a big, long word. So that gives negative 10. And then finally, we already named this one, but the this is a grand total of 75%. You can actually get more later too. There's one more thing they get, but so they can get but the idea here, and the reason this is an issue, because you might be thinking, oh, well, that's only negative 75%, right? So what's the issue, right? Well, the issue being that development equals percentage, right? So let's say that you and imagine everything's at like at least to 20%. Like I don't know, for example, Beijing starts with 50 dev. Maybe a lot of stuff in India is like 30 devs, right? But the idea is that if you already have 75% and we even have 20 development, which is pretty low, right? That's not hard to get, right? 20 would be like really low. Whereas again, Beijing starts with 50. I think Constantinople is like 40. But you can see that like this now you're hitting that final threshold of, oh, now we hit that number. And remember, like, the way roads work, so right. Anyways, you can kind of see the issue, right? And then this is kind of what happened in my game. What's funny is I realized that I could have gotten more, but I picked the wrong focus too. So the first stage I could have got another negative 2.5, but I picked Diplo. I think I picked Diplo focus instead for the war score cost. But there's not that relevant, I know, for you guys, but yeah. So you can see that there's a lot of I mean, this is the issue, right? Is that you hit this point of max, you hit basically a point where, I mean, it's just modifier stacking. It's not healthy, right? And to me, I'm like, I get this really weird thing because I'm like, weren't we told that EU5 wasn't supposed to, like, it was supposed to step away from modifier stacking? And then you have situations like this where you're like, what's going on here? You know, it's not even like I really tried to do anything. I'm just picking all the unique reforms that have proximity impact because as a player, I'm like, I've learned that that's a valuable thing. And so anytime I see that modifier, I just pick it, right? So it's not like I'm going out of my way and doing anything that special. This is the first time I played the nation, and I'm easily able to get there. But so anyways, it's a pretty fun campaign. We started, but really, like, you don't. The way it works is like, to me, was like you slowly build up your nation, right, in like a really healthy way. As Muscovy, like you start off and you're. I don't know why it's like this in the screenshot, but you're actually not a subject like this of the Golden Horde. No one is. I guess they just changed the way that it works. I'm sure, but like you're in, like, you all pay taxes to them, but you're not a subject of them. But they went back on that too. Yeah, it's like an organization that you pay taxes, but you can dismantle it. And I dismantled it before. It's really easy because the problem is that the Golden Horde is like, they two things about the Golden Horde is that, like, they struggle a lot, and they, like, have no money or forts, right? So it's really easy. In my game, it just broke because the nobles won, and that's whatever. But I've also, like, you can just, like, you fabricate a CB to dismantle it, right? And that's all good. And I honestly, I think I missed some flavor because I heard that you were able to get, like, a bunch of people's subjects for free. So I actually maybe missed out on that because of the way that happened. But right. So anyways, I guess the point of all this is, what I'm saying is, you're right. We're we're slowly building up. As I was saying, we're kind of slowly building up our nation. And it feels pretty healthy. And then you kind of hit a point where you start getting so many you start stacking these modifiers like crazy, and all of a sudden you're making a lot of money, you're getting a lot of manpower, and then you're able to what the problem that I usually see is that the player gets more professional soldiers than anyone else. And then you kind of get to the point where you just win because everyone else is using, like, a mix of professional troops and levies, and you have just pure professional soldiers. This will happen as, like, any nation. So then it becomes like a, do you have enough manpower to sustain fighting wars type of thing. And then once you do, you can go crazy and start co-belligerent a bunch of people. But it's kind of like this. It's like, to explain my build up, I'd say like 1337 to 1437 is like, I go from, so it costs roughly, we'll say it's roughly 500 locations to form Russia, right? So I'd say in this time period, it's like, let's say that it's like, we maybe are like, I don't know, maybe we start with like 20-ish, we build up to like 60. So it's not like this crazy spike, right? It's like, you know, it's decent. But and then what happens though is you hit, and I'll say similarly, like 1437 to 1537 is like 60 to 100, right? So it's kind of like this, like, natural buildup, and then all of a sudden it's like, once you hit the new unit in this tier, and so then it goes like this. It's like 1540 to 1550, 100 to 500. Like, that's kind of how the campaign goes. So it's like, you can see I'm, like, not really able to do much. Like, I'm struggling, and then all of a sudden I hit this point where it's like, I'm finally so built up that I can just go crazy, and then all of a sudden I'm just, like, conquering everything at once. Like, co-belligerate, like, a ton of people, take a ton of land, just, like, declare, 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 you know? So it's like, this is kinda how the campaign goes, though. So you can see I'm like making slow progress, and all of a sudden I hit this like critical mass where I am like I'm able to fight these wars that I couldn't before. Yeah, that's what I think too. Like the problem is that it just all of a sudden, and I think I might be like misunderstanding this a little bit too. I think maybe it's more like maybe I think it's probably more like this more so, right? Like I think I'm a little bit stronger than that. But the point being is that like I get these new professional troops here, and then at that point I really feel like I can do whatever I want because remember you have such a no, I cannot. Just become a content creator. I don't have networking skills either. I even like talking to people. I'm antisocial, you know. But yeah. So that's kind of the way it feels. But honestly, Russia is like one of the most flavorful nations I played. Lots of really fun events that happen, lots of claims that you get. They're kind of like, oh, you know, you got to take your rightful land from Sweden, but you only have a like short window to do that, and that feels fun. The AI, the AI has some professional troops. I don't know how to I don't know what it is. Novgorod starts really strong, but you also I'll tell you that unions are so awkward. Like you start in a union with Novgorod, right? But you would be like the weaker member of the union. But like in my case, like I don't unions are really bad right now. And a lot of times you'll have to the only way you'll end up like wanting to kill your union, but you can't. And so you have to co-belligerate them from a different war. That's like what I do a lot in this campaign. Is that I'll have to co-belligerate the union because I can't declare on them directly, right? It won't let me. So it's like this really weird scenario. I mean, Flapjack, I told you like one of the main issues, right? I use this CB. They use this CB. Like, it's not like hard, you know, this is plus, sorry. This is representing to cost. Like you can see how it's like a no-brainer, you know. Like of course. That's like that's one of my biggest issues. Also, remember that I have parliament that gives me I can get I can get more money too, right? So on top of that, parliament is giving me CBs. Parliament is actively hurting the AI and actively buffing you, right? Not really, no. The AI doesn't understand how, and this has always been a thing, but the AI is like, the AI doesn't understand what, it's the armory problem, I think, right? And this gets harder throughout the campaign, but you have what I call the armory issue. And this becomes a bit of an issue for the AI. I call it the armory problem. The armory problem is you can only build these in, I just forget if it's city or town first, but I think it's city or above. I think a town, is it city or town? I don't know. But I always mix up the two. But whatever the level 2 is, you have to have a city to build these, right? So the player, being a player, can spam these, where the AI doesn't really do this, so they can't really. They're limited with how much armories they can build. I don't know the answer to that one, Byron. I think that Parliament is in a really bad place. Again, I've said this for months though. Like since I first played the game, like Parliament is the problem. I mean, I kind of adjusted my viewpoint on it a little bit. That It's not that Parliament is OP. It's that the AI doesn't understand how to use the Parliament. That's the issue. Before I maybe had the viewpoint of like Parliament's just a bad thing because it's overpowered and you can get so many overpowered rewards. But the real issue is that the AI can't also benefit from these overpowered things. That's what I think the issue is. Or like they don't understand how to. And so I'd say it boils down to this though: the AI doesn't understand how states work, or the optimal way to assign estates, right? These are like the AI doesn't understand how values work. So these are things that I think like are kind of a fundamental issue with the game. Like values is a cool mechanic ideally, right? But it's like, do you imagine that the AI is going to like, why can't I spell values? Like the AI isn't going to just push some sort of value, right? Right? Like the AI is not going to be like, I want to go 100 centralization because then I can do this, right? They're like, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to think that way. And that's why I think like values have like a weird like they're cool, but I think they're also a way that you abuse the AI, right? Because like if you hard push a value, it's just like the AI is not going to do that, or not as well. I think. Like I don't know, maybe not, but it's like, do you think that the AI is like, oh, I you know. What's funny though is that they start certain nations with certain values, and that's cool. Like when you become the Timurids, they have max of certain values. But I guess the issue though is that you have these values, right? And yeah, I was gonna do a stream about that too. Would you guys be interested to know, like, talk about values? I imagine people would want to hear maybe a little bit about values, but I was gonna do like an in-depth talk about like how values are and that sort of thing. I possibly, but the issue is, like, let me give you an example of an estate situation though, right? Like, do you think the AI right now, the AI is like okay, Parliament. I mean, it's just it's a bad state, and they need. To me, it's like it becomes the point of like, I kind of think if there's a mod that removes Parliament, then the game will be like twice as hard, right? And that's something that I would actually be interested in, like, you know, like I'm like that might be something that I would want to do early, like immediately when the game comes out, is get a mod that removes Parliament. Just something that I've thought of, and or like and just temporarily too, like if they could fix it so the AI understands how to use it, or honestly I think it's fixable in a way that it's hard. AI has lots of rebel issues too though, but to understand, it's like the AI doesn't understand what the state meta is, right? Is there a mechanical reason for Russia to push west instead of east? Well, yes, in the sense that like you need 500 locations to form Russia, and you get a lot of value from doing that. So it's like, you know, you're pretty motivated to take that land that's going to help you form Russia. But okay, so the AI issue is like, I'd say estates, right? If you look into a AI, or right, the player. So like if I'm playing a nation, right, the player, I'm gonna grant like probably like in the range of 8 to 10 privileges to every estate, right? The AI is going to basically do nothing. They're gonna just leave it as it is as default, which is like, let's say it's like 3 to 5 for the AI, right? So you can see like the reason this becomes an issue is that they're going to not be able to tax as much, because the AI is taught that they shouldn't, they don't want to make a disloyal estate, right? So they're taught that they don't want to go below 50% equilibrium, and taxes affect this, right? But the player is going to have such high loyalty, but that putting taxes to max isn't even going to put them like into, right? Like, so it's like I can max my taxes, and I'm never going to get rebels because I've granted so many privileges, and each privilege is going to be like +5 to loyalty. So you get to the point where you basically, you know, you're kind of just always going to be making more money. And then whenever you use parliament, it's the same thing. But so this is an issue, right? That you have this situation with taxes, and then here's the thing that really sucks right now and with parliament is kind of two things. So when I've watched the AI use parliament, for one, it's really bad what they do because there's some kind of awful shit sometimes. One's like you can get change laws, right? And you can get like break alliance, and then it's like random value changes. The AI is just like clicking all these at random. The AI doesn't understand what these do, right? The AI is just like, I need to get these all done so I can get my taxes, right? Claims on the crown CB a thing? You mean like Restoration Union? There's like a million there's so many Restoration Union CBs are everywhere. Yeah, PUs are basically not you don't want them. They're like a plague right now. Like I'd rather have the Black Death than get into a Union accident. Maybe that's an over exaggeration. I don't think I'd literally want that, but the point being is that you're just in a situation where you can't take that land ever now. Whoever you're in a PU with, they're just immune to getting attacked by you. That's what happens. Like in a simple version, that's what happens. You just don't. It takes 250 years to annex your union. A lot of the time, so do you want to wait 250 years to get the land that you wanted? Probably not, right? Like that sucks. And I think honestly, like if you look at the English Civil War or the English scenario, I don't think you could actually ever annex France. Like literally, I don't think you could ever, as England, integrate France that way. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. Maybe maybe 1800s. Except you won't control it at all, Byron. This isn't EU4. Like someone in union with you is completely independent from you. They're not going to help you. They're you know what I mean? They're not some guy. They're not some slave like they are in EU4 that's going to do your bidding. But that's not like that at all. Yeah, you can pass laws, and then that's what I'm saying. It takes 250 years when you pass the laws. Like my example is as Sweden, I played and I tried to integrate Norway, and it would have taken me into the 1600s to do that. As Sweden, integrating Norway would have taken me from we started the game in 1337 as a union, and it would have taken me until the 1600s to be able to integrate them. Which at that point is just not worth it. Yeah, it's way too much time, and they don't help you in wars like they would in the EU4 or right? Like they're not like your subject. They're completely independent from you, and you can't even ask them to transfer land to you in a war. Like they're literally not your subject at all. They're not. That's not how it works. It's not. It doesn't even make sense, Richard. Technically, you rule both nations, but you don't. You don't really. It's very weird. I don't like it. Like technically, you are the ruler of both nations, but like you don't. Like you can be at war with yourself. It doesn't really make sense, but like I don't know. It's very weird. I don't like it, but I think they got to work on that. Oster. I mean, it's definitely a different game. It's like literally you are the ruler of their nation. It's confusing, right? It's weird because like imagine this, like let's say that I'm the ruler here, but I'm also the ruler you know, here, right? Like that's how it starts actually. Well, except I think the ruler is technically like something like this, right? So the ruler that we're the ruler both. But if I attack this person, right, I can co-belligerate this person. How does it even make sense what's happening there? I'm at war, like I'm leading a war against myself in this scenario. Like at the peace deal, I'm making a peace deal with myself. Like one leader, the one on one side is me, and then the other side or not me, but you know what I mean, like my ruler, I guess. Right, you play the country, not the character. Yeah. So that's how it is. But like you know, I'm Muscovy, and I'm like, but like in the peace deal, it's like it shows like the one character on the left side, and then the same character on the right side. It's just weird, and I think right. But you can't leave a PU either. You're like trapped. That's why I say like you have to avoid these things like the plague. Sure, I can get that, but then when it comes to making a peace deal, it's kind of weird, right? Because you're making because it shows like you know your character portrait and the other character portrait. It's fine. Like honestly, I don't. The only thing I don't really like, if I the one thing that bothers me about it is that you can't leave the union. Like you are trapped in that union, and the only way for you to take that union's land is to co-belligerate their allies, so that you can fight them. And that's weird, right? It's just like really awkward whenever you like want to take land from in a certain direction, and you're like, okay, I'm Muscovy, so naturally I want to take Novgorod's land, right? But like I can't attack him directly, so it comes. It's just really a weird scenario. Oh, by the way, it's very hard to fight Novgorod early in the game. He's stronger than you, so I don't really fight Novgorod and for like a while, right? Yeah, makes sense. No, so it's hard though. Like I think that I don't really know. Maybe you don't start in a union. I don't really remember the scenario, but I remember a lot of the times I would co-belligerate. I would have to attack somebody else, then co-belligerate to be able to take the land I want. And I was actually talking to generalists about this the other day. Let me know what you guys think of this. Well, it's obviously a bug, but let's say there's a weird bug. I didn't report it because I'm lazy. By the way, I probably should, huh? But it's fine. I'm lazy. It's whatever, right? But let's say that you're Muscovy and you attack over here, and you co-belligerate. I don't know. Let's just say these guys and these guys, right? So let's just say a scenario. We're Muscovy, right? And we're going to war with sorry, let me because I found this yesterday. I just wanted to share with you guys. So we're gonna go to war with what is like we'll say these guys and Smolensk. Whatever, Smolensk and then Belarus, right? So now I just want to explain to you how this works, and it's kind of weird, but it's started a conversation. So now let's say I make the war goal this here, okay? And I co-belligerate all these nations. So I basically I say I declare war here and I co-belligerate here and here. Now what's going to happen is that the war leader is going to be Smolensk because in EU5 it picks the strongest nation to be the war leader. Okay, that makes sense. So what's interesting though is if that here. So here, let me give you like two scenarios. What will happen if I separate piece the original target right? So if I separate piece these guys out, and let's say I'm using Parliament CB, right? So I have a negative 10%. If I do this, I all of a sudden lose the CB, and now it's going to cost me an additional. It's going to cost me 100% now for the other person's land, right? Makes sense. But and the reason this is like really odd, right, is because now let's look at Nation 2. And the reason I say Nation 2, because so let's say Belaruso, if I piece out Belaruso first, right, I can benefit from that negative from the Parliament CB. But if I piece him out after, then I'm going to be paying now 100%. So you see how that's really weird? I didn't report this because I'm lazy, but you see how that's like odd, right? That like because you lost the Wargle, you lost the CB, but if you piece out these guys first, you can benefit from it. So it's like a bad idea to separate piece out the original target first. Because then you don't get value. But the thing is, you'll never be able to get value out of the main target if you piece out the secondary. Like if you piece out the original target, you'll never be able to get value out of the main target. If you want, like I can't benefit from the CB from both these nations, no matter what I do, right? Does that make sense? What I'm saying? So, but the question that this kind of brought up is the idea that should it just work that way? Because obviously it's weird. Like obviously there's some glitch here, right? Where it's like, if I piece out in a certain order, then I can get more value out of Belaruso's land, right? So it's like order wise, like if I piece out in the order, like I get more value if I piece out in this order, right? Whereas if I piece out the opposite order, I would be it wouldn't be worth it for me to do that anymore, right? Because then I'd be using the no CB. I'd have to pay extra, like it wouldn't be worth for me to pay 100% extra now. Because that's like, why would I want to do that when I was paying only 10% before? If that makes any sense to you guys, what I'm saying. So essentially, if you piece out whatever the war goal was, if that nation gets pieced out, then you lose that CB, and it reverts to like a superiority war, which is like a no CB. Okay. But the question that I had is like, should it be that way anyways? Because why is it that I get to use a CB against Belaruso that was against this person? Like the question I would pose to you guys is, should I be able to get that negative 10% cost? I'll even take it a step further for you guys. If I have a claim, I wonder. I feel like this would be so much better. Actually, this would actually make Parliament CB like not bother me anymore if they did this. If I have a claim on a province, should I be able to use that CB for the entire region? So if the CB is like take one specific province, which is a state, I know, like right. So a state in the E4. My CB is on a state. Should I be able to continue to use that thing against the entire area? I just thought of this now, but I'm like, wouldn't that actually be a lot more fair if it was like you can only get the negative 10% on the war goal itself, and then other than that, it should cost 100%. What would you guys think of that? Like, I kind of want to like suggest that feedback. It'd be interesting. I kind of like that because the reason why Parliament CB is so broken is because you get it on the entire nation now, right? Does that make sense? So the reason it's so strong is because, you know, the AI is always going to use this and you're going to use this, but you get to use a CV on the entire war. So everything in that war is low cost, right? But I kind of think that they should make it so if you want land beyond this point, then you need to have a claim, right? Because this would actually make Parliament CV not as insane because it'd be like, it would be good, but you're not getting insane value out of it. You know, you're only getting like one state, and then you'd be paying like, you know, a lot more for the rest of it. I'm like, that kind of actually seems like it'd be pretty good. You want to know another thing that they nerfed it after I suggested they nerfed it? Tell me if you guys are upset about this, that I got this nerfed. I agree. I want them to do that. I agree. I want them to delete Parliament CV. I also want them to delete Parliament taxes. Listen, I'm trying. Like I've you know, that's just something I can't get them to budge on. I've tried. Like I like this. The game would be so much better if you didn't have this. It's too complex of a mechanic that AI can't understand it. You know, it's one of my favorite experiences is playing a Colonization because they're banned from using Parliament. It's so nice not to have this annoying thing that pops up every 5 years that you have to do. It's like EU4. You ever play Parliament EU4? It's just like at some point it gets annoying. Like, yeah, sometimes it's like you really want it, but other times you're just like, man, it has to do Parliament again. This is so tedious. That's how Parliament feels in EU5 to me. I'm like, I don't want to do this. That's what I think too. I just thought of that though. I'm like, what they actually need to do this with all CBs. I think. I wonder if that'd be something that I could. I might suggest that. Yeah, you could actually automate Parliament. It's just terrible. You can just ignore it if you want to. I've done that where you can just ignore Parliament. The estates will just get upset at you. You can also just remove it for you. Just like honestly, I might do this. I might do this for balance reasons. You can remove Parliament. It just costs you -10 estate satisfaction, which is really it's tough. But that's like maybe that's like what I should start doing. You can just disable it, but you just take -10 estate satisfaction. But I'm like that would be like a lot more fair. You know, it would suck for the player, but the player, you know, at the end of the day, the player probably has ways to just grant. You know, they have so many privileges, it probably wouldn't even be that big of a deal. I wish I could take it if I could take it away for the AI too, though, because it like actively hurts the AI to have that. Oh, I meant to explain why the AI gets ruined by Parliament. I didn't explain that why, did I? Right? And it's because generally your nobility has a lot of power. That's very common, right? They have like a big portion of the power, and so if you the way the things work is they're like, okay, you have a percentage, right? A percentage of Parliament, and then you have like actions that you can grant to each estate, and it'll be like, oh, the nobility want something, the clergy want something, and the burghers want something, right? And then if you click one of them, it'll like make a new one pop up. And there's a limit though. They're like, you know, eventually. But what happens and why the AI gets ruined is that depending on their power, they get mad. So it's like if you give the clergy what they want, the nobility will take a -10 to like a state satisfaction. So when what the AI does is they spam click everything, and this leads to like a -30 with the nobility. If that makes sense. So all of a sudden the nobles are super mad because they pressed every button over and over, right? So if you keep spamming this button, it's like -10, -10, -10, -10. And then similarly, it would be like a -3 and then maybe like a -2, like depending on the power, right? It'd be like way less. The clergy and the burghers aren't going to be that mad if you don't click their button, but the nobility are pissed if you don't click their button. And then they changed the way that estate equilibrium works. That it's a flat modifier now. So it always trends up at like 0.25 a month, right? It doesn't matter if you're currently at 0 and the max is 100. It doesn't matter. Before it was like weighted based upon your equilibrium, right? So before, if you were at 0 and your equilibrium was 100, you'd be going up by like 2 a month, right? Or like 2.5 even a month towards that. But now it's like no, it's always just this really slow 0.25. So, anyways, and then another thing the AI does is that's dumb is that they request additional taxes, right? But then they don't actually tax their people anymore at all. Dude, Muscovy is broken, man. Have you seen it? Anyways, here, let me just send you a screenshot since I can. Let me just hide my screen for a sec. And then you can decide, you know, like you decide if I explain this to people, but it's basically I think it's this one. Here, I just wrote here. Here. There you go. This is the problem. So, but what happens is that you have perfect control in the entirety of Russia with that. That's the issue. Like, for sure. And that's not even that's like 1500s, by the way. Like early 1500s. So it's not like I'm waiting till the late game to do that. And what happens is that your level 2 roads feel like they are level 4 roads. And you can see why that's an issue. Yeah. Here, I'll send you the I'll send you the other screenshot. This is like 1500s. Do you see the issue? So it's funny, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. It's funny is that I like all those other 90s are rural areas, and if I put a town, you know, and a library on them, it's auto 100. So it's like it's just yeah. But that's why they're so broken. Why I think they need to be nerfed. Oh, let me send you the one more screenshot that you will enjoy. They have a cabinet action. This is a cabinet action. You can see in the screenshot they get it gives plus 31% tax efficiency and negative 15% proximity cost. Pretty funny, right? Oh, oops. And then There's one last thing. I want to see if we can see it. I know. That's what happens though, man. Whenever I swear, people people complain that Muscovy's weak, and then I play him, and I'm like, they should nerf these. This is insane. This is ridiculous. I'll see if I can find the last one. Okay, yeah. I found it. Check out this last one. That is another unique cabinet action that they have. Like, look at that. I'm like, what? What are we talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean that they get to have all these things? No, I'm sorry. I can't share them with you. I can share them with him because he's yeah, you get it. But yeah, that's yes. Yeah. And the diplomatization cost on top of it. I'm like, really? Right. It's just like incredible. I'm like, what are we thinking? Why is the station so overpowered? Like I haven't seen a nation this overpowered and just crazy. Crazy. When I was playing them, I'm just like, why do they have so many proximity modifiers, and then they just have like crazy stuff like that? Like that's one of the best. Those two cabinet actions might represent the best cabinet actions I've ever seen, respectively. And for one nation to have both of them is interesting. Like, have you seen a stronger cabinet action? I mean, I haven't played every nation certainly, but right. It's just interesting to see that. It's just yeah. And that's why I was like, it is funny though to see the difference in people. But that's what I think is hard about Muscovy though, is that you can see that people with less experience are going to find Muscovy very hard. So it's like it's kind of a double-edged sword that I was thinking about, because it's like, yeah, I think to people that are newer, Muscovy is really not ideal. They're not that easy to play, but for someone who's experienced, it's a problem. So it's completely opposite. So it is interesting because yeah, you literally you can see that. Some people are like, oh man, this nation feels so rough to play. Yeah. Take it easy, man. Take it easy. Have a nice night. Tell me what you think, Rush OP. Maybe. What do you think you would like as a developer? How do you deal with that? We're in a Discord. Some creators are like buff Muscovy, and then I'm like nerf Muscovy. It's confusing probably for the developers. You better off playing Novgorod as a new player. I think so. Yeah, definitely. It's just it's a nation that doesn't start off particularly strong, and it's hard to. You have to fight wars that are pretty hard and close, and you have to be willing to declare wars that you could lose, right? Like I think that people, new players especially, I don't think like that. Like declaring a war that's like you can't really find a war that's to your advantaged. It's like at best, it's like 50-50. And it's really about just taking smart battles and that sort of thing. So if you don't understand, like it can be hard to get going. Technically, Byron, you don't want to know You don't like. So technically, it actually would apply to maritime as well, because proximity impact isn't specific to land. So, for example, if I wanted to also use the ocean to take, like, it would also work in that sense too. Like, if I wanted to just randomly take England, I could have like perfect control in England as well, because it's negative proximity impact. It has nothing to do with whether or not it's naval or not, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's like you actually don't. It's not like a negative thing for you to use naval as well. They actually have another modifier too that currently isn't working, but I like, my point being is it could be even better than it is now. Which I don't know if that'll make people happy or what, but yeah. So you think it's about roads, but it's actually just like it's actually just called proximity impact, and it just kind of means like whatever way that one province connects to another, it's going to lower that proximity impact, so to speak. So yeah, that's why. But that's why, like, it makes sense though that like the newer creators are gonna be like, or the newer people that are playing EU5 right now are like, Muscovy feels unplayable to them. But I've heard the same thing about like, I really do think there's just such a large gap in, just I mean, it's not like a hot take, but it's like someone who's played the game for 700 hours, has a lot of, it's drastically different than someone who's played 50. They just can't, like, everyone's gonna feel not that strong to them. It's just experience. That's kind of how the Discord is right now. Like, some people are like complaining about things being too hard, and then, um, you know, I'm the outlier, and I'm like complaining that things are too easy. But it's good to see that too, that the newer players are struggling in certain ways, right? Just to see, just to them, just to give them information, give Paradox the information that, like, yeah, your experience. So they have this weird issue now where it's like the newer players are really struggling, and the more advanced players are really like in the reverse, struggling with it being too easy. So it's kind of a hard thing to balance in a way. But I've always really like enjoyed the idea that there's a steep learning curve, and but I guess but I understand that being hard from like a marketing perspective too. You know, I mean, yeah, you don't really make a lot of money at the start. It's tough. I personally think it's a good thing because like I'm someone who like wants to improve all the time, right? I'm very competitive in that sense too, but it's like I like the idea that like there's lots of room for improvement. And so, yeah, maybe these players are struggling with these certain nations early on, but I do understand it from a marketing perspective too, where it's like, yeah, I can see how it's tough to be like, a newer player will be like, look at Muscovy and be like, oh, I want to form Russia, and then that's just probably like not gonna work for them because it's not a nation that's particularly easy to learn the game on, or even when I say learn the game, I mean like you probably are spending at least 100 hours at least in the initial learning phase, maybe more, right? Like I'm still learning the game in a lot of ways, but it's different level. But I'd say you're the first 50 hours is you're just like overwhelmed with everything, and so yeah, I wouldn't recommend playing somebody that is not so easy to like you're overwhelmed and you're playing somebody who's not very strong, and you don't really know how to snowball into a way that's going to make that nation strong. So you're going to give feedback and be like, "Oh, this nation's weak." When in reality, it's not that the nation's weak, it's that you just don't have the skill. Biz is super easy. I would say Biz is a fine game to start the game on. I say that, but I don't mean it actually. Probably not actually. I have never looked at the tutorial. I would recommend Bohemia to learn the game. Like, Bohemia would be a good option, or honestly, like, in England isn't bad either, because 'cause you're actually in, like, the 100 Years' War, and you're gonna be declared. I mean, the reason I say that is because it's gonna throw you right into a war, like, as England, and you're gonna have to, like, send your troops over to fight France, and that's gonna be like it's gonna be like you're thrown into the deep end scenario, which I think is, like, not bad for learning. Like, oh, you fail, like, no worries, restart. Like, it's gonna throw you right into that combat with France, and it's kinda like, it's not a big deal, just restart. 'Cause, like, you haven't invested too much into, doing much. You don't have to do any, HRE stuff. But I guess in the patch I play, HRE doesn't exist. What would be another good nation? I mean, I've always liked Brandenburg, but Brandenburg's really, really hard. I probably wouldn't recommend starting as them. Yeah, they're in a like, I think Spain would be a really good start, actually. Like, that's probably one of the better ones. Like, Castile. Castile is probably, I guess what I would say the most friendly starter nation. It's pretty fast nowadays. Just like launching a game of EU4, like, it's nothing crazy. But yeah, I'd say Castile would be a good one. And I think Ottomans in a way can be good, but it's one of those nations that kind of throws you right into the fray. But in a way that's like you're playing a pretty strong nation and you're favored to win, but you are thrown right into the combat, which I think is good, actually. Not Portugal though. Do not Portugal's not a beginner friendly nation. You will get attacked by Castile. And you don't have that much money. I would not say Portugal. In fact, other creators have complained about Portugal. I think that again, I saw their complaints and I don't think they're. I think it's just an experience issue. But Korea's pretty easy too. Yeah. How did you avoid dying as Portugal? Just superior tactics, I guess. Like, I made sure to take smart fights. No, you don't have historical friends with them. They'll try to union you. That's how they declared restoration union on me, like, within a few years of the campaign. And I think that other people have found that not winnable. Whereas but like that's kind of like something that like actually EU4 will give you more. Like, I think my EU4 experience would carry me in that sense, right? Like understanding how to win a disadvantaged war, if that makes sense. Like it's winnable, but if you sit there and like, but you might panic, if you're new, you're like, oh, this why I should, like just because you should lose the war doesn't mean you will. I don't even know that, like we don't even know. I don't even know that that's going to be the format necessarily. Like I don't know that we'll be able to pick something. So, and I don't know if generalist is in the same, you know, group or if he's talking about like when the game comes out or something. Like I don't know, you know. I don't really know what he's doing versus what I'm doing and that sort of thing. Yeah, so I really, really couldn't really deal with Novgorod for a while. Like I just didn't want. Like I couldn't deal with Novgorod. I wanted to push into Novgorod, but he was just too strong for me for like at least a good 100+ years. So I kind of just did my own thing, you know, built up, tried to invade other places a bit. What year did I play this campaign? Just about 1600. Yes, they built up a standing army. Everyone does. It's very common you'll have to fight people with standing armies. Yeah, it was a big roadblock. That's why I said I couldn't really do that much. Right. Yeah, no, Novgorod was still definitely kicking in 1400. No, I didn't fight the Poles. The honestly, Lithuania got messed up by Kiev, kind of, which was weird. That it wasn't like a common occurrence, but like it was like not like Lithuania kind of got eaten up by like a lot of other nations like Smolensk and stuff like that. Like this guy got a ton of Lithuania. I think just imagine Lithuania kind of got spread out into different people. Yeah, Novgorod is not the nation that it is in EU4. Like you don't just get to beat not like you don't just look at Novgorod as like a free war. In fact, it might be the opposite way where if you could play Novgorod and then destroy Muscovy. I haven't played Novgorod, but I would assume that's pretty feasible. Whereas like you probably could as Novgorod. I don't know how Novgorod plays though. Maybe they have certain reasons that they're difficult. But they seem like really like honestly, I allied to Novgorod and got carried by him a lot, if I'm being honest with you. I used Novgorod to carry me in a lot of wars because like yeah, like I'm kind of too weak to on my own to or it's tough for me at the start. Muscovy that's why I say though, Muscovy starts really weak. So I would say Muscovy would work in a way that it's like they're not as strong as like they start weaker, but they're stronger than other powers later, which I don't think they should take away. And that's what I'm worried about how they're going to nerf Muscovy/Russia because I don't want them to like gut them, right? Like I think they should have the ability to push good control or like how are you ever going to get value out of Siberia? So I don't want them to like I don't want them to completely like ruin that, but obviously it just needs to be slowed down a little bit. I think Russia or I think Muscovy would be better because Muscovy is the one that starts with all these broken modifiers, right? Yeah, usually Muscovy's alive and kicking, but they just don't do anything. Like they usually just like stay like friends with Novgorod, and so like there's not really anyone that could fight both Muscovy and Novgorod at the same time. So generally you'll see like kind of like a strong Muscovy and a strong Novgorod that kind of like are friends. Or maybe they're unwilling to fight each other if they're not friends because they both, it's too close of a war. Right. And building those building bridges is a lot of value as well. So you remember on top of all that proximity, I have another -5 for every time I can build a bridge, right? I didn't include that, but that's also a thing. So I build bridges like everywhere possible as well. But yeah, I'll make proper videos about all this stuff. Is there any topics you guys are curious about or would like to any nations you guys would like to see that you haven't seen or heard about? I could probably do a better AAR sometime where I like go into the details of what wars we did and stuff like that, but yeah, I'll definitely do some sort of beginner's guide closer to release. I'm sure there'll be plenty of guides though that you guys can watch. I'll probably make my guide more about like the things that are important for you to pay attention, like kind of like ignore this stuff. You only need this stuff. I'll cut out all the bullshit. That's probably the style that would teach you guys to play. Like for your first runs, like don't try to overwhelm yourself. Just enjoy like pick one thing to do. Like that's how I like to learn. I'm like I'm gonna focus first on like understanding the mechanics of war, and then I can pay more attention to other things. Kind of add things on. Yeah, and just learning the meta though. Honestly, I could tell you the meta though. It's like there's a ton. There's the building's very confusing, but you just need to learn what the priority is, right? Because there's so many things you can build, but you kind of just need to understand like in the order of operations. Like, okay, when I have money, I should first expand my RGOs, or I should do like roads. Like, there's a priority list almost. The custom Civ maker. What do you mean? I don't have an opinion on multiplayer. I don't no idea. I think like a huge part of that just depends on the connection issues and how much that's going to do. Why would you want custom nations? Who plays with custom nations? Oh boy. I think they got much better things to work on than custom nations, guys. But I plan to make a video maybe later today or something that the question though, I want to make a video like titled like should you buy EU5 or something like this. And I would say like that, that depends. That depends. I'd say that like for the community of people that watch me, definitely you guys are gonna want to pick up the game. But I worry for the new players or the more casual audiences, right? Like let me explain to you like here's let me explain to you on a scale of like here we'll make a graph and like if I can. I can't draw a straight line though, yeah. Like this. There you go. Like I would say like you're looking at like this, And that might be rough for some of you, right? Like I'm talking like if I played 700 hours, this is like you know what I mean? Like 60 hours. You can see that like 60 hours isn't that fun. You know what I mean? Like so like is this for everyone? Probably not. But is it for the like is it going to be fun for people that really want to sink the time in? Yeah. But it's just a thing that it's like it's not I would say that like at least my experience was like I didn't really start enjoying it until, like I think it like I think when I hit the 200-hour mark was when I really was like I like this game now. But the first 100 hours like I remember my first phase of early access I like I didn't even, it's like some days I just like took a break. I was like and again, yeah, I didn't have any resources to help me learn, but some days I just like would play a few hours and I'm just like I'm done. I just can't. There's too much it's information overload. And you're just like you hit a point where you're just like I can't. Oh, I hated everything. I hated everything at one point. I just hated like, and again, maybe I'm just like bad at the learning curve, right? But and that's just might be me as a person, where I like like I struggle to like pick up new things. I like being good at things, right? I hate like being terrible at stuff. So maybe that's me as a person too. I would highly recommend that you guys watch some guides, like at least a couple, just at least the basics, because you know, uh, I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't really know where we're sending that. I don't know how good the tutorial is either. I should look at it. And yeah, I think that's also an expectation, right? The fort spam isn't really that relevant. Like, it just doesn't matter. That's that's overreaction. Like, do you care? Like, oh, there's forts everywhere. Well, just assault everything. Like, it's a skill issue if you can't. I don't know. Like, the bigger problem is that it's so easy to assault every fort. Why do I care? Like, it's actually saves you time, because a normal month tick, like, let's say you have 100% siege, right? You can't assault that siege. You have to wait for the entire tick, right? Whereas if it's a fort, you can just assault it and it's immediately done. So it's actually like net positive for like how long a war takes to win. Given you have enough manpower to sustain that, but I mean, if you don't, it's skill issue. But I think that you have to understand too, like, I think that took me a long time to learn too. That took me a long time. And maybe because I didn't know, but that this isn't EU4 too. That's like something that you will have to learn, just like as expectations go. Like, it is not trying to be EU4 too, right? It's a different experience that starts at a different time. And like when I first played, I hated the 1337 start date. For the longest time, I was like, this isn't, I hate this, right? And because it's not, because to me it wasn't EU4, right? And I think that to me was like, you start to love, but like all of a sudden it's like, after you play it the amount that I did, you will be like, why I don't want to, I would never want to go back to 1444, because you realize that like you want content that's in you get 1337 content that's new and refreshing, instead of the same type of content, like, but as a EU4 player, that's going to be hard for you. Exactly. No, but you say best there. That's kind of what it is. That's you're going to hate that it's not the game that you want it to be, but then you're going to love the game that it is. That's like, oh, it's a weird thing. But what I would say is that, like, if you're expectation wise, if you expect it to be just a newer version of EU4, it's unfortunately not going to be what you want. Because it's just not. That's just not the game. It feels like a completely different game. There's some mechanics that way. I think the colonization, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat like other people. I think colonization is really bad. Like, I don't like it at all. And I probably won't. I would just say, like, I'm not really gonna do it. I do think that, I don't know. Again, I think it depends on your resolve. Like, and that's why I'm telling people, like, I'm really telling you guys, if you are somebody that really wants to enjoy the game, you should take a week off of work, because you probably won't enjoy it until like the end of that. Take a full week off and you'll start enjoying it by the weekend. Like, does that suck? Yes. Is there a lot of, like, would I recommend, like, what I would recommend too is, like, play the game and like jump into one of my streams or one of someone's streams, right? And like ask questions to the creators that you have. Because I mean, that's what I would honestly do that. Like, I would like hop into someone's stream while you play and put it on your second monitor. And then if you run into a question that you're like, hey, I don't know how to do this thing, like, pop up a question and be like, hey, I don't understand this. Can you explain it? No, Richard's got the right idea though. I'm saying at least try to take like 1 or 2 days off. I'm just saying that, like, if you're someone who, like, just, you work all day and you come home and you only have a few hours to play it, it's gonna feel really hard to like really learn. I know it's not realistic for everyone to take time off to play a video game. I know that. I'm just saying, like, It'll benefit you if you can. It just takes a minute to learn. I will just tell you, I didn't enjoy my first 25 hours much. I like, but that's again, that's just me, and then and I'm in a scenario where I didn't have resources that you guys do, so it could be completely different for you. And like the expectations were, no one told me it wasn't going to be EU4 too, right? Like I was looking for EU4 too. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like I love EU4. It's a great game, but I didn't know. It's like one of those things that's like, it's different than I wanted it to be. How can I say? It's different than I expected at first. It took me a long time to like really start liking the game. So I think that's just like it's hard to explain in a way. It really is. It's like a situation where it's like, but maybe it's a good thing to know that, like just kind of let you guys know, like, yeah, it's going to be rough for a while. It's not going to feel like the game that you want, but the reality is that you just didn't know what you wanted, you know. It'll get there, but you're gonna like I wouldn't be surprised if when you first played it, you were a little bit upset, and you were like, man, what did they do? They turned this into Victoria. Like I thought that when I first played it, I'm like, oh my gosh, they ruined it. They made this is like Victoria, and the game failed for a reason. And then your mind starts snowballing into these negative things, right? You're like, this is, oh my god, it's so like I literally hated it at the start. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I I I don't know what I expected it as far as it to be, but I hated it at first. I didn't even play Victoria, to be fair, really. So to me, it was just like, I think I like looked at the Victoria menus and it just looks very overwhelming. But it's like an acquired taste for sure. But I mean, and I almost guarantee you guys are gonna like it. You just need to like honestly, don't be afraid to take a little bit of a breaks. Oh, for sure, I prefer EU5. Yeah. EU5 just has it's so much more complex, and that's fun after you understand those complexities. You know what I mean? But when you first start and it's so much more complex, you're like, I hate this. What the hell's going on? But once you start to understand things, that you'll definitely enjoy it a lot more. Like I used to, it's funny to me. I used to hate the tech tree. You know what I mean? Have you guys seen the research thing in EU5? Like I used to hate that. I despised it. Now I'm like, this is awesome. Like it's a weird thing, but I'm like, it just grows on you. I'm like, actually, it feels really good, and it's really like, I really like it. I think it feels good to like pick and choose things, but like you have to like sacrifice certain things for other things. Like you want a better army, well then you don't get to have a cabinet action. Like that hurts. Yeah, like it definitely is like, oh, like do you want to make your government stronger or your army stronger? And the problem with doing that is that your neighbors might have made their army stronger first. And if you're greeting, like I had a situation in my Russia game where it's like I greeted like that. But it's just like that. Um I don't really know. I mean, that's a good question. I think it's one of those things that like, let me explain to you in a way that I don't know if it will make sense to you, because this is how it would work for me. I'd play the game and then take a break, and I'd feel some like calling to play it again. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the way to explain it. Like the game, you'll hate it, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, "But I want to play it." But you'll like not for like, but you'll need like a couple hours to like take a little break, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, something will call you back, and then eventually you'll yeah, an addiction, sure. No, just not at first. Like you need to like overwhelm yourself at first, and then kind of just like chill and let that soak in, and then you maybe come back to it like that. I mean, that's how it was for me, anyways. Where it was like sometimes I don't know, I couldn't force myself to like enjoy it. I kind of had to like let things settle in, and slowly. Maybe I don't know. It's a weird thing to explain. I know it's like, but I think the good news is though, like for you guys, is that I'm pretty skeptical, or I was, and hated it at first. So if I'm like that, then you can have some hope that I'm not just all positive about it too. So I try to give you guys like a realistic approach to it. Like the game's not gonna be perfect on release. Let's be honest. There's gonna be a lot of issues, and there's gonna be a lot of missing things that are gonna be DLCs. I think, yeah, I'm not gonna shy away and say that's probably a thing. Like I think colonization will need a DLC. I think Germany will need a DLC. And that sort of thing. Like, I mean, there's some stuff, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that anyone in the chat could tell you what I think the worst thing in the game is currently for me. Talk about it constantly. That would be Parliament. Or I guess you could bundle that in with the AI, I guess. The AI is use of Parliament. Yeah. But I'm critical about things. I think you could say the AI, period. And yeah, that is worrying. But to me, I would ask, like, I would say this. I would say that no matter what the case is, there's 1,000 hours of content for you to play at release. So is that good enough for you to pick up the game? I guess that's up to you, right? Like that, but that's what I would like honestly say. Like there is 1,000 hours of good content. Is that enough for you to want to buy the game? That's a personal choice, right? I would say yes, definitely. 1,000 hours is worth picking up the game, personally. But it's gonna be up to you. Like, is there 10,000 hours of content? Probably not right now. Yeah. So, but that's just like that's a reality. Like, is there as much content as EU4? No, not even close. What did I show them? I showed them that Russia actually doesn't have to worry about control. They can have max control in every single everywhere. Perfect control. 100 control in the entire map that they own. That's what I showed Paradox. So right now with Russia, you can stack your proximity impacts so that there is no impact from one. It's funny. You don't even need roads though as well. Like you have perfect control in the entire Russian Empire, and you could extend that to like you could have 100 control in China if you wanted to. Like Russia has some issues with modifier stacking. It's like and I get it. It's always a thing of like it's a player like me that like for the average player it probably wouldn't be that OP honestly. Like honestly they're probably not even that strong of a nation for the average player, but for someone that has a mind for like you know, understanding like modifier stacking and stuff like that, understanding how to break things. That's where the issue comes in. Well, I haven't really done much MP. I think the thing though that I don't know. I saw that video, but there's just a lot of like, how could I tell you like honestly that there's not um I mean there isn't. And a part of the issue too is that I mean a lot of you do you find yourselves wanting to play someone that doesn't have flavor? Like let me ask you guys that. Would you play a nation that and maybe you guys would. I don't think I would personally. Like I don't really want to play a nation that doesn't have any flavor, meaning they don't have any unique events to them, which is like 90% of Germany, unfortunately. So like in Germany, it's like I mean not 90%, but it's like, you know, you're probably gonna have some flavor for like maybe just like a Saxony, a Brandenburg, an Austria, Bohemia, and you know maybe some Italians. But like there's a ton of like princes in the HRE that are just not gonna have any really unique flavor. Like Ulm, you know, like Ulm's. I played Ulm anyways because they're small and they're a meme, but like they don't really have any unique events that are you know unique to them. I mean, I wouldn't say you wouldn't play them, like because I played a colony, right? Like they have no flavor, but it was still fun to play because it was weirdly interesting to play a colony. So hard to get independence as a colony, by the way. Like I'll tell you a really interesting and challenging campaign that you can do that I did. Play England to your best of the ability and then colonize and try to get independence from your Giga England that you just created. It's not easy at all. Very like, because like you created a monster England, and then you're gonna try to get independence from that nation. It's not so easy. I actually couldn't do it. I'm not gonna lie. I need to be better. I couldn't do it. I was like, how the hell am I gonna do this? And I got distracted and did something else, but right. But the problem with Richard, the problem with Richard is that I think it's the contrast that's hard for me. The idea that like there are countries that exist that have tons of flavor, and so it's harder to play nations that don't when there is so many nations that do. That's the issue for me. It's kind of the idea that like some nations feel so good. It's not that we're not allowed. We just don't like coordinate that way. There's not many people in the creators Discord that are like, "Hey, I want to play MP." Right, exactly. I will say Russia has one of the best is one of the most flavor packed nations you can possibly play. Very, very, very full of flavor and very fun. Would recommend. But I would recommend not playing Muscovy as your first nation. But maybe after you've understood the basics, then play Muscovy. Just saying. Depending on your skill level and all that, you know. But I'm like, you probably don't want to play Muscovy the first time you play. But you know, some people like me actually enjoy that type of thing. Where like I played Brandenburg the first time and they're like really hard. But like it depends on your I guess depends like on your personality, I guess, or maybe not personality, maybe that's not the word, but depends on your tolerance of pain. Yeah. I'll have to try Austria again and see if I notice different stuff. Because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I feel like Austria doesn't have a lot of flavor. Or like compared to like Russia, like I'd say Russia has like 10 times the flavor of Austria. I feel like generalists would probably lose to that. because he wouldn't be able to. You have to have an army that's really big, and if you focus so heavy on economy, you can't do that. I think you'd have to just switch his playstyle a little bit. You'd have to, because like I feel like in multiplayer, like you have to have an army. I'd all be one him, but I think it'd be like it'd be interesting to see. Like I mean, it depends like who, like, yeah, 100 Years War. I feel like that's kind of like skewed though, because I feel like England's just better than France early on, or at least that it would be a lot harder. Like England has a lot more power themselves. Sure, but I have 700 hours. I mean, I don't feel like there's a big difference after a certain point. Like I don't really think that the difference with 700 and 900 hours is super super big. But yeah, I think that it would be interesting because I think that like it's one of those things that like I think if you're playing multiplayer, you have to focus on your military, right? Like because if you don't, you're gonna die. And that in that sense, it's not gonna be easy to. It's not gonna be so easy to just like not have a big army. And because and the thing about military is that it's going to be a downward trend in your economy, so you can't really build up your economy as well when you have to pay for a big army. I think that's what would hurt the most for any creator, myself included. That I probably don't have as big as armies as that you would need, and I don't invest as heavily into that as I, because AI is not like competent, so you don't have to. But if you're playing against real people, you do have to, because they're going to do that. But it just kind of depends on like how that would look. I don't know. Because early game you just have levies anyways, but oh man, Egypt. I feel like Egypt is so insane early game. Like I don't know how that would. I don't even know how that looks like. Like Egypt could literally run over the Ottomans, and they would like every time. If in MP, like I don't even know how that's gonna look. I feel like honestly, like Egypt is just the new Ottomans in MP, probably. Like you shouldn't be playing as the Ottomans in MP because you would get cooked by the person playing Egypt. Egypt starts with like 4,000 professional troops and 11K manpower. The Ottomans start with 200 troops and about 200 manpower. Like it wouldn't be even feasible to win. There's no way. There's no chance. It's yeah. I say it's definitely possible. Yeah. Diplo-vassal swarm, especially as Russia, man. Russia's probably the best. Well, yeah. How long of a truce would you need to build up Ottomans? Man, I just don't. If I want to be realistic with you, you probably couldn't take on the Mamluk player or the Egypt player in the first age at all. Like 100 years. You would need 100 years. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know that if the Egypt player doesn't like the Ottoman guy, like he's cooked. There's nothing you could do. No. Well, you might be able to outpace them, yeah. But well, not I don't know. I haven't played the Mamluks too much because they don't really interest me, if I'm being honest. Because I feel like you're already like they start really strong, but their power is really front loaded. Because they can't really. Well, I guess to some extent they could. If they move their capital to the coast, I'm sure they could. But yeah, it's just crazy to start that strong. Just to give you some context, I played a lot of nations, and the biggest standing army that I've ever seen was 200 until I jumped into them, and they have 3,600. Just to give you like context, like Spain has 200, like Castile or even like France, England, they all start with like 200 professional troops. Egypt starts with over 3,000. I haven't not touched Yuan, so I can't speak about that. Yuan might have a yeah. That could be possible. Delhi, perhaps, but Delhi starts in a kind of disaster, so I don't know. That would be the way. I haven't played them either, though. But I don't think they start with that big of an. I don't think anyone in the game actually has a bigger army than Egypt to start. Maybe Yuan, but Yuan's like meant to collapse, right? Well, right in this patch, it costs 0 because you can turn the slider to 0. But I think that once they lock that in, I don't think they're going to leave it that way. I think they over adjusted because the AI was struggling. Is it an army-based nation? No. I mean, that's what happens in the current build. AI doesn't. AI like basically standing armies are like levies right now. Essentially, you don't have to pay for them, and then you just call them up when you use pay for maintenance when you're at war. But I will say, and I don't know if this will make people happy, but if I'm allowed to, for my like video before release, I'm looking at the possibility of just doing a world conquest. Because I think that would like, but I do think that would like piss off some people, It should be funny. I'm like, whatever. But that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably do a world conquest as my video. And it'll probably make people freak out. I think some people would like it, but other people are gonna be mad that it's possible. Oh, because people don't like it that it's possible, and they want to believe. They want to have this vision of what the game should be, and then when they see that when they see someone doing that, it actually makes them very upset. Like that, people are gonna be like, it shouldn't be possible, and it's gonna make people very upset. That's kind of like why, like some people are gonna be upset by the fact that it's possible, and they thought, you know, a lot of people have this like vision of what the game is going to be like, and they don't like understand that that's not how it is. I think that I have to, like I got to be the first one to do it. Maybe Flory will do it too. Who knows? I could see it. But also, I don't know that they're going. I don't know the format of what they. It's like that might even not even be possible in the format that we're allowed to do. For all I know, they're going to be like, we want you to show the first 50 years of Maloga, and that's what I'm going to have to do. That could be what they assign me to do. Like I don't know. Because I kind of imagine that they're going like, I bet that they're going to like spread out the creators and have them play all different regions. I don't know this, by the way. I'm just like speculating. But I'm like, it's like I don't really think that it's going to be. Yes, Sandy. Well, not necessarily that paid. I'm not getting paid to promote it, but it's more like I can make money if people pre-order using my code. But I'm not. I guess I'm. So in a sense, I'm getting paid to promote it. If that, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think right now Milan is the best nation for world conquest, or maybe the Timurids still. I don't know. It either, if it's not the Timurids, then I'd say Milan. Yeah, Milan. No, they're gonna gut Russia. Like, sorry guys. No, I think that Russia's cooked. I feel like I feel like Russia's gonna get over nerfed. The reason Milan is the best, I think, or one of the best, is because also you forget the one bad thing about Russia is that when you form Russia, you become an empire. So in the current version, if you upgrade your government rank, it's actively harmful for you. So that's why Milan's really good because they don't start as a kingdom, and they also have war score cost as one of their national ideas. So they have the ability to stack the highest war score cost in the game, coupled with the fact that they don't start as a kingdom, is very very like like probably makes them one of the better ones. Basically, yeah. I'd say that the important things about being Empire are a cabinet member and more Diplo space. I have played the Ottomans, yeah. What's the thing you're most excited for players to experience? I don't know. Can't say. I can't say I know. Probably just like game mechanics, I guess. I don't really know of any specific thing that I would say. Like the Timurids, maybe, because they're really interesting and fun. Who are you talking about? Oh, the Ottomans. Yeah, the Ottomans have tons of flavor. The economy is really fun. What's fun about the economy is that you have a ton of buildings you can build that all do things that you want. So you have to like make decisions about what you're gonna do, right? Like, do you want to do you want to build your economy, or do you want to be better at like integrating people? Because if you want to be better integrating people, you're gonna need to build culture buildings, and that's gonna take away from your economy because now you got to pay the upkeep for cultural buildings. On top of that, you probably need to build book buildings, and stuff like that. So it's like a whole like different investment. Or are you investing in the military buildings? They kind of nerfed the Ottomans pretty hard. So right, and that's one of the things about EU5 you'll see that's way different from EU4 is that like everything it makes sense. Like royal marriages, you can't just have like infinite royal marriages, right? Like you have to actually there's like everything like ties to something that's real, if that makes sense. Like you're trading real trade goods that have trade value, and like the systems just like are like everything is like makes sense. There's not just like fake numbers like in EU4, so to speak. Like the game feels alive in a way that I can't really explain with words. How do you break personal unions right now? You attack whoever the union's ally is, and then co-belligerate them to annex them. I'd say what I'm most excited for in general is being a content creator. I usually have the advantage of like learning a lot from the community, but obviously in this scenario, you guys can't teach me anything, right? But once you guys get your hands on it, I'm sure you guys are going to be like sharing with me tons of info because like that's just the nature of it. You guys are going to be like, oh, check out because I'll tell you that about EU5, by the way. You will there's so many convenient things in the UI that you won't figure out for the first 100 hours. Like so many different things like that. Like there's so many times that I'm like, wow, I wish I knew that like 100 hours ago. Like, there's some super nice shortcut you didn't know about. You've been going into 3 menus deep for the same thing, and you're like, really? Like it's stuff like that though. I'm excited to learn from the community. How many hours have you played? Um, there you go. 678. So not quite about so I rounded up. Okay, 678. I played it a lot. In fact, I think I'm one of the highest behind generalist. You know, maybe a few others. But it's actually kind of interesting though. It's a weird experience being in like a Discord. You know, because they're adding a bunch of like more, I guess, you know, more like popular people, like influencers that aren't really there. They're kind of there to learn the game, not there to like QA as much as I feel like me and generalists might be. But yeah, it's just an interesting experience. Like I don't really think that you can be actively helpful to the developers until you played at least 200 hours, or probably even more than that. It's just kind of funny. Like I don't think that the newer people are like, what they're saying is you like usually when I look at what they're saying, I'm like that's just actively wrong. They just don't understand the game yet enough to know. It's kind of interesting. And I also see the game from a different light than a lot of people. Like I think role players will like colonization more than me. Yeah, it is important though. New people is still important because it is good to see how they take look at things, right? When you dropped a bunch of vids, no one's making vids right now. Oh, I don't know who's making AARs right now, but yeah, probably newer creators are making them. I'm pretty sure everyone's an influencer. I mean, that's just my version, right? Like maybe Paradox has some separate thing for that, but this is like a influencer Discord, right? And you can see the game. It's like an influencer version of the game. Anyways, any questions for you guys before we take off? And I think I'll make some videos about different topics. I do need to make some videos about that. Or what type of topics would you like covered, or maybe gameplay would you like covered for U5? What are you curious about that you don't know? You feel like there's not enough information about? Ming or Japan? Religion in general. I don't. Okay, for me, I don't think Hungary is like a very interesting nation to me. They already start like they already won the game at start. Like I don't know. To me, I don't know why I'm like this, but I'm like I love the idea of doing a formable. To me, I'm like when I play Muscovy, I'm like I can form Russia, and that's exciting. When I'm hungry, there's no formable that I can do, so I don't really feel motivated to play them. That's kind of my take though on it. I'm just like, I like formables. I like having an objective. There's no mission, so that's kind of my, semi mission, I guess you could say. Yeah, but you can't even see that. Honestly, like you don't even see the Europa formable as Hungary. Like if you go to form new nation, there's literally nothing if you're playing them. And so I guess I run into the issue a lot. I tried the same thing when I jumped into Egypt and I had the same thing where it's just like I don't really know what to do. Like, you're very powerful, but, like, what's your, like, I don't really I just don't know what to do. Like, you have a lot of land too, so it's, like, not really that valuable for you to take more because, like, as Hungary, it's like, you start the game in a situation where taking more land isn't that valuable to you because you already, like, have so much land that you can't really get control that far away from your capital. So, it's kind of in a weird spot, right? It's kind of like, what are you supposed to do? You just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. But I think in general, like that's how I feel about nations like that. Like I just don't really know what to do. That's why I like someone like Muscovy because it's like it's kind of obvious what you should do, right? Like form Russia. Cool. I'm going to work towards that, and it's going to take me several hundred years to do that. And then by then I kind of am pretty strong nation, and I can keep pushing Siberia, and I have some idea of what I want to do. It's just kind of hard when you start as a nation that doesn't have that. I kind of get confused on knowing what I should be doing. Like you're already strong and you can't really push your control outside of your starting area much more because you have so much land. Like it's Hungary, right? So what exactly are you supposed to do? I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with them. I just don't know. Like with Hungary, it's like I don't really know what to do. Like just build up and conquer randomly, paint the map. Like what exactly am I supposed to be doing as Hungary? That's kind of where I'm at. I don't think you can do that. I think you have to have like a different culture to do that. Like you're already a kingdom, right? I just don't know what to do. Like that's my issue with them. Like even as Austria, I'd be like, oh, I can form Germany or become the emperor. Like that's something to do. Or same with like anyone in Germany. Like anyone in Germany has that kind of like end goal, right? Like I could go form Germany, and that gives you kind of a semi objective that you're building towards. But with Hungary, it's kind of like you're not German, so you can't form Germany as Hungary, right? You're not in the HRE. You can't form the HRE. It just feels like in a weird spot. But that's I'm a, again that's my issue too as a player. Is like I feel very goal oriented, and a lot of times it's not that and again I'm not saying that there's not interesting content for Hungary. I just like don't know what you're supposed to do with Hungary because a lot of times if you like a lot of times the events in the game unlock when you do something that's historical. I say the same thing with Egypt though, or even like France, for example. Like after the 100 Years' War with France, like I haven't played France, but I'm like I don't know what you're supposed to do as France after that. Same thing with England, honestly. Although I didn't really have that issue with Portugal, I just like built up and had fun building up my nation. That could be a thing too. That could be that could be that could be fun as well. But I feel like Portugal is fun in its own way because I was kind of learning how to use naval, and I don't know. Yeah, you go colonial, but colonial is like, ugh, I don't like it. It's so not worth it. But I guess you can do it. Sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's something to do. What do you think the top 10 nations are? 10 nations that break out of yuan. 10 nations in India. I don't know. I feel like the East is like insanely overpowered compared to Europe. I don't think Burgundy has a formable, but I don't know. I think I could play like maybe I could play Hungary and enjoy it. Um, no. Burgundy is in game. That is not true. Burgundy is in the game. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, like the only thing I don't like about that is like I don't know what makes Europa form like show up as a formable, but it seems like they don't really show up until you have like 2,000 probably, you know, some massive amount of locations already. But I hope that they change that so it's like, you know, like you want to see those things because then you like have an objective, right? Yeah, Burgundy's in the game as the vassal, and they often get independence from France by some event, I think. I think Serbia would be more fun. I just don't know what to do with Hungary. They just seem like a very confusing nation. I don't know. Yeah, you can form Rome, but I feel like Hungary wouldn't be the ideal choice to do that. You know, like I wouldn't really pick Hungary to be the nation to form Rome with, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, maybe I'll try France though. I could definitely try Hungary again, and maybe I should try Austria again. I haven't played Austria in you know like months. I've obviously learned the game a lot more. Muscovy is actually broken. Yeah, it's not clickbait. Muscovy right now has the ability to remove proximity cost as a factor from the game, therefore giving you 100 control in every single location in the game. So as playing Russia, I was able to get 100 control in every single part of Russia, including Siberia and you know all that type of stuff. The game ends in 1837. But in my experience, and I know people are gonna like about this, but I generally end my campaigns in the about the mid 1500s. Yeah, that's kind of one of those things, right? That I'm like, should they nerf it? It's kind of fun. It is kind of fun, right? And that's why I was like, maybe they shouldn't nerf it because I think people would find it really fun for at least a little bit. It's like crazy broken, and that's kind of fun though. When you're like giga strong because and you know you didn't expect it. I'm just telling you guys that that's kind of like at least right now. Campaigns generally like it's pretty rare to play the Age of Absolutism right now. I feel like my campaigns usually end in the Age of Reformation. And you can take that as you will. I just know that some people don't like that or aren't going to like that. But let's, you know, also at the same time, like, what am I gonna do? Like lie to you guys? How do I think they could solve that? I think it's the economy a lot, in the sense that economy is just too strong. And so you and the AI is a little bit too weak. And so the player and again, I boil this down to Parliament being a big issue. It could be both in a way, but you know you kind of hit a point where it's like, you know, you're pretty strong, and there's not a lot of content left for you to do, right? Like you've kind of like gone through all the like you know historical events, and there's not a ton to do. And then you have like the biggest, you have like huge armies, no one can really contest you, and it's just kind of like what's your goal from this point forward? Like you already are the richest and most powerful nation in the game. What do you want to do? That's just kind of like you get to a point where you're just like you make too much money, and you're kind of just like, now what? Honestly, I should be better about giving feedback, but I haven't. Yeah. Unfortunately, I kind of just hope they watch the AARs, and I think they do a lot of the times. But I try to give some feedback. But I mean, what do you guys expect though? I mean, do you guys expect it to be EU4 and launch like with that much content? I just think that's like kind of crazy, right? The EU4 has been out for 10 years. I think that some people think that, and it's just like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, yeah, and I've said that. I think that there's going to be there's a good 1,000 hours of content. I don't know if there's going to be a lot more than that until you hit a DLC though. But is 1,000 hours worth picking up the game? I think so, but that's your own choice, right? But yeah, I do hit a point where it could just be like a thing too that you're new to the game. Like, would I rather continue playing my Russia game where I'm Giga strong, or like start a new campaign? I'd probably rather start a new campaign. There's not like a lot. I guess I could go like expand Russia bigger, but like do what's I don't know. What's the motivation to do that? I have I mean I don't even remember E4 release. How's colonizing Siberia as Russia? It's I only did one colony, but it seems like there's some sort of RNG factor to it, and you get some events that you can, you can either exploit the colony and it will probably fail, but you get some immediate rewards, or you have to invest more to make it successful. But yeah, I would say that in general, I will tell you that I run into the issue a lot that I don't really feel like playing in past the 1500s. If I am I Do I still love the game? Yes. I think it's a lot of fun. I think EU4 is a lot of fun, and I don't play into the late game a lot. Similarly, right? But I'm just trying to tell you that that is a thing that is in the current version that I'm playing. I think that colonization is really not ideal in EU5 at the moment. I think a lot of it is because the way that they did Society of Pops is just not there yet. Yeah, I'd say that's fair to say. Maybe not achieve your goals, but like when I feel like I'm no longer challenged, or there isn't much for me that like I don't really I've reached all my goals and I feel like I could like I'm the number one guy. Like I have the strongest military, that type of stuff, right? Yeah, MP would be a completely different ball game. Yeah, 100%. But that's a different topic. I don't know, but I think in general that would be the case, right? Like how many people want to keep playing when they're the strongest nation in the game? And the gap between the next person is pretty substantial. Like I don't think that's just a me thing. I think the issue is that you can build up to that strength too soon. And again, I think that a lot of that can be fixed. But again, I think a lot of it is because the AI doesn't build up their nation very well. And so you get to a scenario where you're much stronger, and the AI doesn't really pace. Like they can't keep up with you at all. Because I think that, if the AI builds up like you do and they blob like you do, right? Then you're going to be still contested by some of these great powers. Sure, but I would say that you're in the minority if that's the case. And the question would be, do you want to do that every time? Because yeah, the first couple times, do I want to play later on just to see what happens or build up my nation? Sure. But when you're to the point where you make and like you make infinite money, and you're like, I mean, is that what are you really building up anymore? Like if you're making 50,000 a month and it's the 1600s, why do you want to keep playing? Like I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not trying to discourage you from doing that. I'm just saying like I do think that balance wise, there's a bit of an issue that I kind of want them to slow down the progression of the game. Yeah, I guess so. And to be fair, like I'm somebody who would set world conquest as a goal too, right? That could be one of my goals, and then maybe I'll play longer. So there's that. But even then, like, yeah, I probably would finish world conquest before the end of the game, right? Would you still play? Would you still want to continue playing if you already conquered the world? I don't imagine you would, but um, you know, I suppose. Right. And that's what I think the majority of the community would say is that they're going to get bored. And that, honestly, I'll tell you guys, I think it's okay. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I think it's okay if campaigns aren't super long all the time. I'm not like, super opposed to that. But yeah, do I wish that the game would be a little bit slow? Yeah, or I think it's more of an issue of the AI not pacing like they do. Because if this was EU4, right, and they built up Russia, well, there's probably a gig of Ottomans or something, right? Like it's not, or you know what I mean, or like a really strong India. Like the problem is the AI doesn't really build up in a way that keeps up with the player. That's really the issue in a lot of ways. Is that yeah, like it's not unreasonable to build up Russia by the 1600s, right? But having done that, the AI just doesn't keep up and build up themselves very well. But again, they're working on the game a lot, so I don't want to be out here and be like, "That's going to be how it is when you guys get the game." I really don't think it's going to be vastly different by the time a month and a half comes around, right? One of their biggest focuses is on the AI, so you have to imagine that's going to change a lot. I'm hoping that they can lock it in though. Right now it is, yes. The AI can't compete right now. And the AI is playing on the AI is on very hard and you're on easy. Remember. That's like kind of how it is. No. No other nation could compete with me. Like imagine you're playing EU4 there's no Commonwealth, right? Like you're Russia, but there's no Commonwealth. there's no Giga Austria, which happens a lot in EU4, right? There's no like big Ottomans and all these type of things. So it's like those type of things keep the game more interesting for a longer time. And those things don't happen in EU5 right now. I like, that's just kind of how it is. People have asked that, and I don't know the answer, Chorus, because I've only done it with Muscovy. So I just simply couldn't tell you. Yeah, but the issue, of course, the biggest issue I think is Parliament. And that's just the scaling. I mean, isn't it pretty simple to say, like, AI has to spend 100% more to take land. You have to spend 10, right? Like how big of a difference would this be if it was, that's what you ask yourself. Like, this is the AI, this is you, right? And you also on top of it get plus 25% income. So you can see why why I'm not a fan of Parliament, because it's so powerful for the player. It's such an advantage. So the player gets 90%. The player gets 90% off in war, plus an additional 25% income throughout the campaign. Honestly, the AI is doing a lot better with control these days because they start building roads. So it's actually not that, like, the AI is actually not doing that terrible with control. But the problem is, it's like, put yourself in a world where you had to do this, right? Like, Parliament gives you the ability to take land 90% cheaper than the AI, and you get 25% more income. So it's just kind of like, you know. So, like, in my mind, there's like one of two things, right? Like, if I'm them, I'm like, you either need to make the AI understand how to use Parliament, or you need to delete Parliament, right? Like, I feel like it's like you need to make one of, like, I don't think this is probably not what they're going to do, but I kind of feel like it's you know, I don't know. I think this is just kind of like the fundamental biggest issue in the game, though, is that you're already the player, and by default, are going to be better, right? Sure, yeah. I mean, the AI could do if the AI could do that, yeah, they would be a lot stronger. Yeah, I mean, that's just like, to me, the fundamental issue with the game. It doesn't really make sense that, because imagine a world where you had to do this too. I played this way, and the game is way harder. Like, if I intentionally don't use Parliament, the game is definitely harder. But I mean, that's the thing, right? This is just like, and maybe I'll make a video about this, and maybe they'll watch it, and maybe yeah, I don't know. Novgorod. Well, chorus, I think it's like you're asking a sample size of 1, right? Where in my because the EU5 is gonna be a lot like, it's like EU4, the game's gonna be different every time you play it. Where in my campaign, Lithuania didn't do very well. They kinda got, eaten up by a lot of people, so they didn't really pose a threat to me. I don't think that's gonna be the case every time, though. So it's kind of one of those things that you're asking on, it's like I could answer to you what happened in my campaign, but yeah, not so much what will happen every time. Yeah. Yeah, Richard, I think that's fair to say. Like, in general, yeah, you're the player. You're meant to do that, right? You're going to surpass the you're going to surpass the AI, like, of course, obviously, right? But I don't think this is a good this isn't good for gameplay, right? Like, I'd be curious if I'm not a modder, but I'm like, if I could, like, remove Parliament from everyone, I wonder how the AI would perform. because the Parliament's actually actively hurting the AI right now. Like, it's not actually just disadvantage, but it's also like it's screwing over the AI right now because it's picking stuff that's hurting it. But yeah, do I think that not having Parliament would be? Yeah, I think that would be a lot harder. I think it's too complex for the AI as well. I mean, honestly, I think removing it would make the most sense too, just because, like, do you think the AI could debate a Parliament and think about what values they want to push? I think it's just like completely like something that's designed for the player, and the AI can't do that. The AI can't be like, "Oh, I want to pick a centralization reform." Like they're not going to do that. I think so. It's like I think Parliament just like is just a huge advantage for the player, and it hurts the AI. Like that's I don't know. Like maybe they could do that. Like, do you think the AI would understand that they needed to fail a certain debate to push a value? Because that's a thing. That's actually a thing you do. Like, there's a certain debate that if you fail, it pushes you more towards naval. Do you think the AI is going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and fail this debate so I can push naval? Like, no, no, that makes zero sense. The AI is never going to do that. I just think it's a complicated mechanic that it won't work with the AI. I just don't know if it'll. I don't know if I could. How would you do the claim though? Because you'd have to rework how Parliament claims would be coded completely. Because AI is like this. AI is like, there's like a threshold to go to war, I would say. And the second that they hit that threshold, they're going to declare war. And so it doesn't work with Parliament because Parliament it's a like looking into the future, right? You're getting a claim for a future war. That's not how the AI works. They don't think that way. You know what I mean? So like, how is that ever unfortunately, the Parliament TV is something that requires the AI to look into the future, but it can't do that. It doesn't know 5 years in advance what it needs, right? You call Parliament and you might want to go to war in 3 years, but the AI is not going to know that. Yeah, they build claims for CVs, exactly. But you can't do that here. So that's like part of the issue, right? Like I don't really like what they've done with the claim system in general. Like I don't understand why like it's just so bizarre to me. It's like the one thing that the game seems like pretty reasonable, and then you get to Parliament and it's like, you know, I don't know. Yeah, exactly what you're saying. I think that like I probably will just like I'm sure someone will make a mod that removes it, right? Surely. Um Unfortunately, Chorus, I think a lot of people don't understand. I think most people are just like fumbling and confused because they haven't played the game enough yet. That's kind of what it is. A lot of people don't play that much, which is fair. I don't think I think like someone like Red Hawk's still focused on EU4 content, which is fair. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm sure that he hasn't really. I've never seen him post feedback. It's just like not what he has the time to do. He's or like Lathe, like they're doing other things. I've never seen those guys post any feedback or really talk in general, which is fair. They're not like they're playing that much or I don't really expect them to. It's just like no, not a lot of. I feel like there's two people there's like two groups of people that write feedback. People that play a lot, and then people that don't play that play very little. The problem with claims, Byron, is the claims only like that's what it does. The AI can't. I think what needs to happen is the AI like. I think they need to change Parliament for the AI to be like something like this. Like I think if they could change it like this, it'd be like next war instead, right? Or something. Because the AI just can't really predict like the AI is not good at predicting that. The AI like calculates what war they need to do in the moment. They're not very good at like planning in advance. That's the issue. And so the AI doesn't know that they need to, or the idea that the AI is not going to wait. The AI is not going to sit there and wait because like I'm sure that the AI hits a certain threshold where it determines the war is good to call, right? No, Richard. Not usually. Maybe there's some specific events that do that, but not really. Do you feel a lack of mission trees? Not really, but kind of. I think you do in I would say this. You don't in nations like Muscovy, but you do in nations like Hungary. If that makes sense. Like if you don't really have like if you don't know what you should be doing, then yes, you like miss the mission trees. But if you have an idea of if you have like an objective for yourself, then it feels good. It's fine. The difference between countries? What do you mean? Diplovassalization? It seems like the AI will never do it. Like the AI will never. You have to murder people for them to be your subject. They don't really want to just do it. I think the flavorful nations play different, but like, would I like it? Like, would someone in Germany play someone like similar to someone else in Germany? Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think the CB system is really lacks at least something to be desired. I guess. Fair enough. I would say that yeah, that's just simply that. One thing that I thought would be cool, and I heard this from like generalist when he was talking about stuff like this, but it would be cool if your states would want you to like they would get claims on people that they didn't like, and like you would if you didn't attack that certain nation, it would like piss them off or something, but it'd also give you a claim on against that person. Or little things like that. But that'd be hard to make. The AI wouldn't know how to do that either. But I was like, that kind of sounds neat. Like the estates would pressure you to attack people, so to speak. Honestly, I don't really understand the quote unquote tier 1 and tier 2 thing, because I would say that oftentimes it just doesn't correlate the way that they say. Like for example, they say Austria is a tier 1, but I would say like Muscovy felt like way more flavorful. But Muscovy felt like maybe one of the most flavor packed nations I've played. Period. I don't even know if they're on the. Are they a tier 1 nation? I think they might be the most flavor pack nation I've played. I don't know if Muscovy's tier 1. Maybe they are. But the difference between Muscovy and Austria is significant. I feel like Austria has like no flavor. To be honest. I don't like I haven't played them in a while, but I remember Austria feeling like they had like basically zero flavor. Definitely not a flavor pack nation. Have I? I mean, I played Oman. They're probably not. I think Oman had more flavor than Austria, to be honest. I mean, I'll have to try playing Austria again. I haven't played them in a while, but I just felt like that. I don't remember a single thing of flavor. I couldn't even tell you a single thing of flavor I remember from them. You're asking. I don't know. Never played Novgorod. I played Ulm as well. They felt like they don't. Again, they don't feel terrible. Like I'm just saying that like. Oh, HRE is super undercooked. I think the HRE needs a DLC. HRE is like one of the most concerning things. Like it's like the Emperor doesn't even. You can't even pass reforms right now. It's broken, but like I feel like the H3 has kind of been like ignored weirdly. I'm like, isn't that to me that's really weird, but what's the deal with Ulm? I think Ulm is just like usually they're like a meme nation because they're so tiny. They're like probably considered the weakest nation. What do you mean comes later? Like how much later? Because I played Austria till 1780. How much later does it come? It comes in Victoria 3. Oh, I don't know a lot. But free cities don't. The free cities aren't really free cities because the emperor won't defend them. Because the emperor won't defend anything. I'm not saying they won't fix it before launch. I'm just saying I'm concerned, for sure, right? And I'm not saying that's like makes the game not playable or anything. I'm just saying like, I don't think that they kind of left the H3 like not. I haven't played a version of the game where the H3 feels like it has been cared for or does anything. The only thing the H3 really functionally does is give you more AE when you take land. And make it more expensive to take land if you're in the H3. Although I will tell you an experience that I've had with Paradox, and you want to know what it is. If something's OP, they nerf that thing into the ground. A lot of the times. That's kind of like the way that that I'm seeing things that are OP in EU5. If something's OP in EU5, it's now later it is nerfed into the ground. Prediction: Russia's going to get nerfed into the ground. I hate to tell you guys that. That's what I think. I don't know how you. I just don't know how you nerf them in a healthy way, either. Like either you have like what because like proximity works in a way that it's either like you have like it's either good or it's not good. In a way, right? It's not quite like that, but a little bit. Oh, Muscovy's the worst. It would not be a tutorial nation. Trust it. No, no. I worry they'll over nerf them because I think it's fun to be, like it's fun to be a strong nation, and you don't want them to just hyper nerf everything. I don't know. I've never played France. The resources are just really bad in the region for Muscovy. So you start like super, super poor, and there's not really any good resources around you. And you have a lot of you're surrounded by a bunch of wars that are really difficult to win. Like there's not really like an easy war for you to win. Like everyone around you is like kind of strong. So you're really poor, and there's not very obvious obvious conquest paths. Yeah, I play the normal map mode, 3D map mode. That's how it is right now, yeah. But forming Russia is you have to have 500 locations, which is like provinces in EU4 essentially. So it's like a lot. Like the requirements to form Russia are pretty easy, like in EU4, whereas in EU5 it's like you need to own a lot. I worry that if they get over nerfed, they will represent I think they'd represent a pretty fun and challenging nation, actually, if they get nerfed into a good place. But I don't know if everyone wants that. They might want Muscovy to be like a powerhouse that they're used to, them being in EU4, right? I think it's the same thing with Byzantium. People are coming in, and this is even me. You come into EU5 thinking that Byzantium is going to be this weak nation, that it's going to be like rags to riches gameplay, right? It's not that. It's not that at all. And that's okay. It's just different, and you got and you have to like just keep in mind this is an EU4. I think Byzantium is one of the strongest nations in Europe, for example. Not really. You know, you don't need. No, I just formed. I didn't take like hardly any step land. In fact, I don't even have that much steps now. I stopped conquering once I formed Russia, though. Because I already had a million provinces to integrate already. No, I haven't tried to genocide pops. Why? That's like that would be like an EU4. Like, have you ever tried to like ruin your own development? No, I have not intentionally tried. Well, I played a horde, but that's a little different. Is integration still strong? I don't know what you mean by that exactly, but sure. Yeah. No, yeah, and that's the thing about Muscovy is that I think people don't understand though is that they're pretty strong in the in the mid 1400s, but you start off with just a little bit of land here, so it's gonna feel a little bit different than the power dynamics a little bit different than it would be in EU4. Whereas Muscovy's kind of a really established, powerful nation. I think like Novgorod's gonna feel more like Muscovy in terms of what you would expect from EU4. I think Novgorod is significantly stronger than Muscovy at the start. But it's one of those nations that you're rewarded for playing a harder start with powerful modifiers. Right now, it's too powerful, but hopefully, still powerful. But yeah, but that's just kind of like the expectations of like this is the different start date and all the rules that all the like predefined settings that you've put for yourself. All of them, but a lot of them are not going to be the same. And Muscovy would be an example of that, or like even like Austria would be an example of that. Like the power dynamic between Bohemia and Austria is like flipped, where Bohemia is stronger than Austria. Yeah, and I've never seen the AI do I've never seen AI do that, but it looks like what you're looking at now, but that is to say, like, not really changed. I think, like, you'll see more like Muscovy and Novgorod will own a lot of land, but it's like they both prevent each other from forming Russia. That's kinda how the AI that's kinda how it goes. Well, there's a specific setting to change that, like, like, not really, like, you can change Byzantium to the ERE, which I don't care about, but there's not really much more of that than that. That's kind of the only change, right? But yeah. Any last questions before we wrap it up, though? And is there anything you guys would like to see in the future, like maybe a future run that you guys are like, I want to see you play this, or is there anything you guys like, even topics? Is there any topics that you would like covered? I don't know if you can abuse it, but I did actually I actually talked to Johan about bankruptcy, and I told him that it should be buffed. Like bankruptcy should be stronger than it is. Because I went double bankrupt in one of my campaigns, and it wasn't punishing at all. I don't know who you start as when you want to play Persia. Also, is Mughals a formable? I couldn't. Like, I don't even know who would form the Mughals. I never played Novgorod. I don't know. I have no idea. Could not tell you if they're OP or not. Yeah, Timurids. Timurids are really cool. I played way too much colonization. I think Japan doesn't work yet. And the reason Japan doesn't work yet is because you can't declare like you're intended to be able to declare war in different daimios, right? Where right now it basically is treating it. The problem why it's broken is that it won't let you declare wars on other daimios. It's treating it like you're a subject nation. You can't declare wars, so that's why it doesn't work right now. I'm sure that's just like a an easy fix, right? They probably fixed it on their latest version. When I did play Japan, they have a really weird situation, like how they work. Like when I played like a Ashikaga, and I remember I built up my nation until 1400, and then all of a sudden like I lost a bunch of land to different daimios, and after building up my nation for 70 years, because like literally like it was like 1400, so I was just playing tall for 60 years, and it was weird because then it was really broken because I would like demand they give me their land, and then they would say no, and I would get a CB, but then I couldn't attack them because they were my subject. So it was like really weird. So it was like that kind of stuff. Like they just didn't really like the mechanics wouldn't let you do what you're supposed to do because of that. Like you're supposed to like threaten people and like say that you're going to take their land, and then they say no, you go to war with them. But it also just seemed like how could you lose? I don't know. It seems like a really like Japan seemed kind of like completely scuffed. If I'm going to be honest, like they have a 200 standing army of guys. You have thousands of guys. How in the world would you ever lose that war? Did Novgorod's PU play any part into my? I mean, it was annoying. I had to like oftentimes I had to like attack someone and co-belligerate them. PUs are kind of like the PUs got over nerfed. They did like that's the current state of PUs. Like funny enough, PUs went to like you could integrate PUs in 7 years, right? 7 years to integrate. And then Paradox was like, "Uh-oh, that's stupid, right?" And now it's 270 years. Isn't that kind of funny? By the way, it's just kind of funny, isn't it? That like it literally went from 7 years to 270 years. That's insane. That's like ridiculous. Like I get that 7 years is too fast, 100%, but 270 years is ridiculous. I like, are you what? So DiploRep doesn't affect your integration speed. I know that's like a thing that people from EU4 want, like think, but like DiploRep actually doesn't do anything like that. There's not really much that like affects your like you can't really make your annexation speed faster except for there's only one modifier that I know of, and that's Diplo annex cost. And that's the really rare modifier. In fact, Russia has the best Diplo annexation cost of any nation I've seen. And second would be when I played Majapahit hit. Because the branch of Hindu it gives you 20%. So, but yeah, again, not a source that I really know or have seen much. But yes, Russia has the best implementation cost of any nation I played. So, take that as you will. But the point being is that it's really, really hard to annex a big nation like that. You have to, well, I don't know the answer to that, but probably you have to go after Novgorod. Like, I think maybe you could avoid Novgorod and take like a bunch of the Steppes land. Oh wait, you have to actually take, you have to own Novgorod, like the location itself, though. It's one of the requirements. So you would have to go to war with Novgorod at least once. You can't dismantle your own PU though. Just remember that. That's not like it's not possible. It's not there's not a button like in EU4 that's like convenient, like, hey, abandon personal union. Like there is no such thing as that. No. You cannot do that. There's no way to do that. Listen, if I could cancel a PU, man, I would. Trust me, I would. I wish I could. No, you can't fight them. You have to. The only way you can fight them is if you fight their ally and then co-belligerate them. It's super awkward. I don't like the PU system right now. I hope they do a little bit of changes. The problem is that you get to a point where you're a month, you know, you're a little bit over a month away, and you're like, yeah, they kind of can't rework much, right? You kind of can do that, but it's not like that though. Like they're not you guys like are misunderstanding what PU. You guys when you think about personal unions, you're thinking EU4. You can't feed their land. You're like they're not your subject. You know, like I think that's like people understand people when they think of PUs like that's not a thing. You can't even do that, right? Like you don't have control over them at all. Not that I know of. Lockjev asking if there's any formables that are auto. I don't think so. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that I haven't encountered it. By the way. So just to be clear there. Like I know for example, like Spain isn't going to do like you can't form Spain and then integrate Aragon or something like that, right? Like that's not a thing. Yeah, that's funny that you wrote that because that's just what I was saying. Same with Poland, Lithuania. Yeah, I haven't played them though, so I hate to speak on that. Yeah, so basically the like in the current game, you should never try to use a PU ever. It's a trap. It's like a noob trap or something, if you want to call it that. Like, do not PU anyone unless you don't ever want that land. And even then, you probably wouldn't want to do it because it doesn't really help you much. Like, you would be much more suited to just get an alliance with somebody if you wanted their help in war. Like, do not PU in the current version I'm playing. Yes, the 200-year example is just an example based on when I was Sweden and I start the campaign with a union with Norway as Sweden. This is an example from Sweden to Norway PU. You cannot refuse a PU. No, doesn't offer trade bonuses. Doesn't offer anything except the best thing you can get is 10 counter action efficiency if you go decentralized with it. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna call it a day. I'll probably make some videos soon though, so look forward to those. And yeah, have a nice day, and we'll catch you later.